Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first one, finally, Otter Talk of the season for Blue Otter, the Platinum. I'm your host, Chang Somo, and I'm joined by three guests this week, all here gonna have a good time tonight. Why don't you guys just take a second to say what team you are playing for and what role you play?
I'm gonna start it off. I'm Tal Roma. I am the org owner for GCCE Shinobis.
I'm
What role do you play?
Okina. Yeah, what
Uh,
role do you play?
oh,
He,
uh,
he
I'm a,
plays
I'm a
owner,
jungle main.
guys.
Nice.
I'm Okina. I'm the top laner slash mid laner. I don't know what I am for for Conduit Omega.
I'm Killer Fox. I'm the top laner slash support slash top laner for Monkey Cyborgs.
All right, awesome. Yeah, definitely some of you freaks out there that are role swapping or just play different champions in different roles. But otherwise, we got a few predictions for us here. We're gonna start with, I believe we'll start in Demacia division for our predictions. I forget how I set it up on the sheet. Waiting for Loki, or I have to pull it up.
Shinobi versus TFF was on the screen.
Yeah. All right.
There we go.
I know that matchup. I'm trying to find the other ones, but regardless of that, starting with our predictions for Demacia, there's Monkeys Inc. versus Conduit Cyborg Cuties. We all said that was going to be a great matchup, but let's just go over who we all think is going to win and why.
I know Conduit Cyber Cuties has been tearing it up over in the Titan League, so I kind of had them over Monsters Inc. They've been playing pretty tight, so I think they'll be able to take it.
Looking at both these rosters, there's a lot of names that stick out. To me, the biggest name that sticks out on the Cuties roster is there's no Page on this roster. So it'll be interesting to see how they do without their support that they're playing with in Divinity. But it's the exact same roster except for the support. Socks, Peas, Chris are all really great players. Top 3, 4 in their roles. And then same for Inc. You've got Wheeze, you've got Grim, you've got Fallen Warrior, you got Glada. I don't think I've heard of Hunter. I don't know if that's a name change or not, but there's definitely a lot of names that have been around the scene for a while on both teams.
Yeah, I mean, I took Monkeys Inc. Cause I don't know, man. I believe in Monkeys Inc. Like I've been having Grim sub in for us a few times for like scrims, and I think Grim's kind of crazy. I like the Monkeys Inc. roster. I mean, we faced Cyber Cuties last night on Tuesday for our self schedule week. We kind of got lucky. We had Tortuga support, so I mean, shout out to Tortuga support. But I mean, outside of that, I really think like both of these teams are a good team, and you can't go wrong guessing on either or, man. It's a 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Monkeys Inc. has been playing really well so far, especially Glada has kind of been playing out of his mind so far this season. So I think it's a very close matchup on paper, but I think with the form Glada has been in so far this season, I'm like slightly favoring Monkeys Inc. in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised either way of who's going to come out with the win. In the next matchup, it is TFF Astronauts going up against TPO Mind Goblin, and to nobody's surprise, all of us on this desk are going with TFF Astronauts. Do we think TPO Mind Goblin has a chance to take a game off them, or should it just be an easy 2-0? And I'll start with you, Okina.
I think the main thing TBO Mind Goblin has going for them is their team name. In this matchup, I don't think there's very much else. I think every single role, I think I would give TFF Astronauts the edge. So, I mean, unless they can destroy Alf's mental before the game, that'd be their best bet. So, good luck.
Fair enough. Tell Roma, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, Okina kind of said it all right there. It's pretty TFF favorite here. I'm not exactly sure what could throw them off. Maybe Jim's name. Maybe that's the angle.
All right. And then, Fox, anything else to add for it, or should we just go to the final series for the side of the Platinum League?
I'm gonna keep it a buck. They're getting gapped by logo. I mean, the logo, they're getting gapped. Like, let's keep it a buck. They're getting stroked logo wise, but outside of that, like, I mean, it's bronze support versus Barolo. Like, I mean, this is fried. The series fried. Like, let's keep it pushing, bro. It's fried. I feel bad.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. And then in our final matchup for the Noxus side of the bracket, it is Monkey Cyborg going up against LG Vesper. Obviously, we all are on the Monkey Cyborg side. Killer Fox says he pleads the fifth, and I held him hostage and I said he's voting for Vesper. So, Fox, why do you think Vesper is going to beat you guys tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to choose anyone, bro. Every time I choose somebody, it's like it's awkward. I don't know. I hate when you force me to choose someone, man. Just let me plead the fifth. But no, I mean, it's gonna be a match, you know. Like, I mean, it's still game day at the end of the day, so we're taking it serious. No, I plead the fifth. Next, Akina, you're up, bro. Lock in, twin.
So I mean, I know a lot more of the people on this Monkeys roster. I mean, Colonel, top 3 hottest Monkeys member all time. So you know, there's a lot going for them. Yeah, there's a lot going for them over there. And you know, I don't know a lot of players on this LG Vesper roster, if I'm being honest. I am interested. I've heard some good things about Killer Fox top, so you know, I'm interested to see if it was a fluke or if there's more to it. So that'll be fun to see more Killer Fox top gameplay.
Stop the cap.
All right, and Talroma, anything to add, or kind of just what Akina had already stated at this point?
For the most part, I think the only thing that could possibly end up happening is Millie Bobby Brown popping off. I've seen this player for a few splits now. He definitely has very high highs, very low lows. So if they can pull up an upset, that is where it's going to be from.
All right, we'll see if that's going to be able to happen, but let's just hop over here for our predictions for the Demacia side, where I think a lot of our better matchups are for week number 1. Looking at the first matchup when it transfers over, we'll talk about it right now, is going to be the stream matchup. It is TFF Lich Bane going up against GCCE Shinobi. Yeah, my bad. Reading is hard, but
So it's making
we're,
content.
hey, all right. Yeah, all right. Anyway, back to the stream that we're doing. We are split on the desk between me and Fox, both believing in TFF, while Okina and obviously Tom yourself believing in your organization. So let's start with somebody who has no stakes in this game. Let's start with you, Okina, going with Shinobi getting the win here. Why do you think they'll be able to get the win over TFF tonight?
So I've played against versions of Shinobi in a couple different leagues. I've played against Frost. Oh God, I don't know how many, like 4 times in the past 3 weeks. I've just played this guy so much. Tastes I've played a lot too. So I definitely have seen a lot more of the Shinobi roster. Meanwhile, on the other side of Lichbane, you know that you got Cyclone, you got Singular Bread, you got Slapstastic. So there's a lot of big names on both rosters, but haven't had more experience playing against the Shinobi team. I definitely know that they have the edge to take out TFF in this matchup.
All right, and now Killer Fox, you are agreeing with me and thinking TFF is going to win here. Why do you think they're going to be able to get the win going into Shinobi tonight?
I think Shinobi wins this, and I might have said TFF, to be honest with you. I might have been dropping a steamer and giving you my predictions. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Shinobi's got a way better roster. I did a little bit of looking at their previous games, and I mean, definitely got the better Frost on this squad than the Safari squad, so I think it's going to be a mid-div. I mean, I think like their Frost's been playing really well, and I mean, Cyclone's somebody that a lot of people talk about, but every time I look at his numbers, it's kind of fried, so I'm going to be looking at you, Cyclone. And they have Ping Pang going on TFF Lich Bane. That's cooked.
I mean, you know what? Maybe a little bit, but I mean, TFF I think can be able to get the win in this matchup. Just the way that I've seen them be able to play up to, it kind of just feels like in recent weeks it hasn't been the case. But if we're all going Shinobi, last but not least, Talroma, owner of the org, why do you think you guys are going to be able to get the win here over the side of Lich Bane?
A little bit to go with the Taste and Frost. They've been playing together for a while. They have a lot of built-in synergy together. And then recently we just got Coach Adong coming back to Shinobi's after taking a break in China. So he's been able to kind of just instill a lot of good habits, good fundamentals back into the team.
All right, yeah, I'm glad to hear that Coach A Dog is back. But
You're a
the next,
child.
I'm sorry, I am a child. I had to hold it in. I couldn't.
I'm protecting, bro. I was giggling.
I heard someone snort at it. But
All I heard was dog. My bad.
in our next matchup, it is Conduit Reapers, Conduit Omega, and once again another Conduit Civil War going into this week. But we all think that it's going to be Omega getting the win over the side of Reapers. So I'm curious. Let's start with you this time, Talroma. Why do you think Omega is going to get the win tonight?
It's pretty simple. We've played Reapers twice. We've won them twice. We've played Omega twice, I believe. I think we've lost one, won once. So that's pretty clear cut. Easy math.
All right, and then Okina, thoughts on this matchup?
3 words: notorious TLP mid.
Okay,
Uh,
I'll give it to you.
All right. All right.
Yours. Yeah, I think I'm next. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say they're getting stroked, bro. You got Notorious TLP mid against I don't know who they're putting mid. I mean, Omega's got a really good roster. I think, you got some players definitely in the wrong roles. Akina's not on ADC. I don't know what we're doing. But they got good players on Omega, and you have, I mean, you got Finny. I'm a tier 1 Finny hater, maybe a tier 3. Get TLP mid, Gav Dougie Fresh. He's doing his thing, but I don't know who Funny Dud is. You get no smoke, Funny Dud.
All right. I mean, I think if Reapers was running their intended roster, I think this could be a potential upset. But I also think like we said, Omega's kind of one of those teams like you really don't know who's playing where until you load into the game that week against them. So I also think they've just been playing quite better so far this season. Like Reapers had that one very close win, and then obviously the easy win playing against one of the bottom half teams in um the side of TD, but regardless of that, I think Omega should just be able to get it easily. But in the last matchup we're going to talk about tonight is Monkey Safari going up against Imperial Gaming. I think very close series could end up being, but all of us have gone for Monkey Safari here. So let's start with you, Fox. Why do you think it's going to be Safari?
I'm hoping Void gets my get back because Bob did run me down one game in last split whenever I was on Newsroom. Okino was there for that. Whenever Batman gave him some sass, so he quite literally ran me down. So maybe Void can get my get back. Nah, no flame to Bob. Love you, Bob. No, I think Safari's a really good team. They've low-key shit on us every time that we've scrimmed them this year, so they're really solid. And I think IG's got an okay roster. I don't think it's that crazy. I think the Safari roster is pretty good, and they've just been underperforming the last few weeks.
All right, and then Okino, what are your thoughts on this matchup between IG and Safari? Do you think it's like very one-sided, or do you think it's like gonna be that full 3 game series, 3 games tonight?
So to me, like people call me a sus player sometimes, but then you look at Key Gaming and Frost Azir. I mean, two of the most sus players I've ever seen on just how much they can just take over a game, and they're both on the same team. So that to me, that's the thing that sticks out about the Safari roster is you don't know who's going to carry the game. Frost, you could have one game where Frost is 1-10, just inting his ass off, and then Key's 12-0 out carrying the game, and you could have it the other way too, where Key's struggling, and then Frost is 15-0 on Azir, 1v9 hard stomping. So they have a lot of different ways that they can win games from the Safari team, and that's why I give them the edge.
Okina, I have a question for you as well before you move on. What do you think Bob's KDA is going to be if you had to predict his KDA by the end of the series?
How many times is he picking Teemo?
Or Quinn?
That's the real question. Or Quinn. If he picks a ranged top laner, I think his deaths are 10 plus
Okay.
on average per game. But if he picks Bob champions, I think he's successful. But I think he likes to pull stuff out of his hat that maybe should have been left in the hat, and that tends to make him struggle sometimes. I love you, Bob.
all right, all
I'll
right.
pass it back.
And then, Talroma, what are your thoughts on this series tonight between these two teams of Safari and IG?
I think Monkeys has, like we've been saying already, they have a really strong team with Void, Frost, Key, big carries in almost every single lane. that could end up being a way that IG gets into a win if just too many resources, like not enough resources, too many carries. But I do have confidence in Frost, Key, Void, Batman. The whole roster is just a really strong roster, and they even have the 9-chip sub in JJ. So
Yeah, dude, shout out to a roster that's so good they have JJ on the bench, by the way. What an insane roster. That you're so
Who's
good you
still
can
in
put
silver?
a player like JJ on the bench. Man,
He's
would be
got 9
starting on
chips and he's in
every other
silver,
roster.
bro. What is going on in Platinum Elo, bro? We gotta
Hey,
wake
can we
up.
get a hashtag yeet JJ?
That's like
Get him out of
JJ.
here.
Lowest rank yeet you'll ever see, bro. The goat, the goat.
Well,
All
didn't
right.
Islamic just get yeeted?
Oh,
Unyeeted
yeah.
for being silver.
Yeah, I guess. I think he's gold. Maybe he is silver. Hold on, I gotta double check.
Nah,
that.
I
You're
think
right.
he's silver. I think I saw
Is
him
my
silver
support actually
too.
silver?
I
With like
think he's
10
silver
chips on his
too.
with like 10 chips? Jesus. These silver players need to get nerfed, bro. This shit's pissing me off. We're getting stroked up by silver players in plat low. We gotta wake up, man.
over
Oh
one.
man. All right, all right. Well, with that, that's gonna be it for here on Otter Talk tonight. But before we go, I am gonna let you three get your final shout outs. I'm gonna start with you, Killer Fox. Anybody you want to shout out before we get ready for our stream tonight?
Yeah, shout out to the squad. I mean, I think we got it tonight. Hopefully, shout out to the boys. Shout out to Chong for this amazing content that we got dropped. Shout out to Okina for role swapping to 6 different roles this split. Shout out to Batman because that's my homie. And yeah, I'll pass it back to you.
All right, Okina. Any shout outs before we go?
Hey, dude! Shout out to Ivar. You know, on the week that Ivar missed our games, our roster kind of imploded, and we all swapped roles. So, but now Ivar's back, so our mental health is all back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, shout out Ivar. And last but not least, Tal Roma, your shout outs.
I'm gonna give a shout out to the boys in Shinobi and girl. They're gonna do their thing tonight. Also, got to give a shout out to Gogurt. The new flavor is always the best flavor. If you know, you know.
No way this guy says dong and Gogurt in the same stream and we let him get away with it. Sorry. Keep going, boss.
Oh
my
my
bad.
god. Oh god.
My bad. I apologize.
Ooh. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us tonight on Otter Talk. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our series of the night between Shinobi and TFF Lich Bane. Other than that, we'll be back shortly.
Can we get one of those things where like fades out and we're like having a
So hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, oh, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A soul reign of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the last strike. Hearing voices from afar. Join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A soul reign of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the last strike. Can we bring to fall the giants? 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 Fighting shadows in their haunting eyes, smiting the wicked morrow and unleash my when we face our final hour in the darkest rift. Come on, everybody, I'll be the death of yours. After channeling our power, your end will be swift. Now there's nothing in my way. You feel my deathly grasp. Clashing minions, lavish fields of manifest my dominion to the chaos restore. When we face our final hour in the darkest rift. Come on, everybody, I'll be the death of yours. After channeling our power, your end will be swift. Now there's nothing in my way. You feel my deathly grasp. When we face our final hour in the darkest rift. Come on, everybody, I'll be the death of yours. After channeling our power, your end will be swift. Now there's nothing in my way. You feel my deathly
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BOL Platinum Ring. Two teams are going to enter the Rift tonight, but only one is going to walk away with the W. I'm your host for the evening, Korak, joined once again by my friend, Mr. Chong. Hello.
How we doing tonight, Korak? Yeah, tonight should be a great series that we have here again. Between Shinobi and Lich Bane. These teams are relatively close in the standings to each other, while the side of Lich Bane is much more names that I know, and Shinobi's less known to me. Shinobi has come out and had a pretty good start to the season, but looking at these bans here, we can see that Mel and Jarvan have been taken off of the table, while Lux is going to be the first target ban against Shinobi. I'm not quite sure because I don't have the stats pulled up in front of me of who this is a ban against, but if it's being in that first phase of bans, it has to be for a certain reason.
I have seen a bit of a return of Lux just kind of overall. It hasn't been sort of a dramatic jump in playtime, but I have seen it make a comeback in mid a little bit more than I would have expected this season. And I'm here for it, along with Morgana making the mid back. I think Morgana's just a little bit better, but there's still very much so is a place for Lux in the mid lane, right around this elo for sure. Next couple of bans, though, Chong, are coming out. Looks like it's going to be Wukong and Pantheon. I haven't seen a Pantheon ban in a while. But I do appreciate the ban. I've seen a lot of good reasons to keep Pantheon down. Wukong for the exact same reason. Flag and Drag. So two very good ball delivery systems already out of the game if we're going to go something. And Orianna, there are still other options. And I think something else to note here is I believe about this elo, this is kind of where Nocturne is decent again. Amumu's definitely still really, really powerful this elo, and I think all the way up to like the top of Emerald or so. But there's still a chance for that. But last ban is going to be Syndra as we move into the first pick.
Yeah, I mean, if you play Yunara is still like the most OP AD carry currently in this patch. So it's like, if you're on blue side and you're willing to play it, you just pick Yunara first pick. She does everything you want in an AD carry. She does have really good AoE teamfight damage, some decent wave clear as well. Her single target burst isn't as much as like these other hyper carries, but Yunara is still the queen of the patch. But another AD carry who I think is very strong right now actually is this Ashe. I think Ashe is in a very strong city right now in the current game of League, so I really like seeing this one picked up by the side of TFF Lich Bane. I think the only thing that makes Ashe even stronger than she already is having that Milio in the bot lane role with her, increasing that range, increasing that sticking power. But Braum is just as good. It's like the second best option in my opinion. So I don't hate seeing that picked up, and also keeping that Braum Yunar combination away from each other can be very powerful. Yunar Braum can stack that passive very, very quickly. But that ban that I was worried about, that Lux ban, is actually for the support of the side of Shinobi is actually the focus there. So definitely not sure if they would have gone with that Lux as the pick here, but if it's somebody's main and they do play a lot of it, I'm not surprised of it. But another champ they do play a lot is this Seraphine, going to be locked in here to go inside this lane with the Yunara. Definitely not the most common lane pairing that I see with Yunara all the time, but like you and me have both said, around this elo is where comfortability on a champion can beat what is strong in the current meta.
Absolutely. And, previously Yunara was very much so 100% pick or ban. She was just the queen of every single game for a lot of different reasons. And the only thing that's really hit her with the upcoming nerfs or the previous nerfs were just her movement speed towards enemies and, of course, her slows. So anything that allows Yunara to catch up to the competition or increases her range will help her out a whole bunch, because the damage hasn't really been touched whatsoever. Seraphine can definitely do that. And Seraphine plays into sort of this role because Braum very much so, he wants to have a melee opponent in the bot lane. That makes his Q very, very powerful. Granted, he's still, a very classic combination between, the Braum and the Ashe to sort of lock someone down. Ashe is very, very good at popping that passive for a lot of different reasons. And it looks like we're going a full Frost team here with the Ashe, the Braum, and the Sejuani. Okay. I appreciate it thematically.
Thematically, it's great. You got 3 Freljordian champions on one team, but you joke about it. All 3 of these champions work so incredibly well together because they all have slows naturally built into their kit. Braum with his Q, Sejuani with her W, Ashe with the auto attacks. It gives you so much sticking power as a team composition already with these 3 picks. Even if you don't have that great team fight engage, it's mostly just single target with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the Braum passive, and the Glacial Prism coming out of Sejuani. So I do think these 3 champs work great together. It's interesting to see that Lich Bane is banning away more of these melee top laners like the Gwen, the Mbessa, because they do pair so well with the Sejuani for her passive. But if Ish doesn't play them, I'm not really surprised. I see Ish more as of a tank player. But Akali, pretty smart ban, especially away from Cyclone, does play a lot of it. Even if, people kind of don't give him his credit, he's a very solid Akali player, and pairing that with Sejuani just makes it that much stronger.
Well, and Akali still makes a visit into top lane, weirdly enough, and they do really well into people like Aatrox, which seems kind of weird and a bit counterintuitive, but that is a bit of a flex pick. More than likely, it is going to be a ban for the mid lane instead of that. But when looking at TFF, my one concern, you mentioned the popping of the passives and just the sheer amount of slow that TFF already has on their hands. But I am a little bit worried about damage. Ashe is not the greatest when it comes to damage. With her, it's kind of like she's consistent throughout the entire game, which can definitely be a strength, and then she has that utility. So we're going to need to compound that with the other picks and to get some damage out and going, because Ashe is going to need help in that department.
See, I used to have the same thing as you, Korak, in the way that Ashe doesn't do damage, but I recently watched an M100 series, and the Ashe on that team pumped out so much damage. This champion actually does do a lot of damage because of the buffs to her late game, but like the only thing Ashe isn't good at is tank shredding. And the side of at the moment of Shinobi doesn't have many tanks, so there's not really a big threat or worry about shredding through these big HP tanks, which Ashe isn't good at. But they're gonna still pick up the Azir, good champion for Cyclone, can tear through those tanks if they do end up coming in, because engage kind of seems like what the side of Shinobi wants, because right now your engage is the Xin Zhao followed up by the Seraphine, but with Braum on the enemy team blocks that really well. So we see the Scion picked up. Like I said, you have Azir, he can kill that Scion, while Ashe can kind of kill everybody else on Shinobi right now. But the team fight on the side of TFF is a 2-carry composition. It's Ashe and it's Sejuani, while on the side of Shinobi, they can draft a 3rd carry for themselves because they have the Yunara, they have the Xin Zhao, they can pick a high AP damage mid laner. Hui, I think of more as a poke mage, but he can still fill that role in a team fight where you kind of have 3 carries to the 2, where team fighting can become so much easier for your team. So I liked how Shinobi rounded out the composition, but now TFF, they have that counter pick for top lane.
Well, it's something Hui is very good at punishing and just sort of doing overall is, sort of this smaller, and not that he doesn't have large AoEs as well, but sort of this smaller AoE, this concentrated damage on like 3 or 4 people. And at this case, or at this point, Ashe and Braum and Sejuani should be relatively close to each other, especially because with their team conk, it looks like Azir is going to want to knock them into the team, make it even harder for them to get out. And Hui can really help sort of deal with that, because everyone's going to be clumped up in a lot of different ways unless he gets taken out or poked sort of before that. So that's going to be really great. The Scion is also going to provide a lot of much needed beef on Shinobu's in. I think that's going to be really great, especially because he adds a bit of scaling and a lot of late game, and he's just sort of powerful overall. The answer, though, is going to be Mordekaiser. I like this. This gives TFF not only a little more beef to add to it in order for them to play with, but also someone really scary to deal with. Mordekaiser super, super great at pulling people into the death realm and just decide, oh, hey, you're no longer in the fight. You can do that with Hui, you can do that with Yunara, or someone who is particularly interesting. So it's a really great tool to have before objectives and anything like that. But when you're looking at both of these sides, who do you think is going to want to get their hands on the early objectives just based off of team comp?
I mean, I do agree with what you're saying about the Mordekaiser for the team fights, agreeing that like that ultimates can be so powerful, but like another big thing is it can take away that beef from the side of Shinobi. If you just ult the Scion, even if you don't win it, you have somebody trapped for, I believe it's like 3.54 seconds. That's a long time in a game of League of Legends to play without a front line for the side of Shinobi, where then that engage can come out from TFF. But for early dragons and like trying to get these grub advantages, I think it's better for the side of TFF to try to get dragons early in this game, because you have a much stronger early game than Shinobi, while late game is much more even because they did draft that Hui for themselves. TFF is going to want to get those feats, get that dragon soul, and if they try to get these dragons early, it can help them very much. So I think more so than worrying about overall for like all the neutral objectives like the Herald and the Grubs and all that stuff, I think TFF should be focusing for those dragons, because they can still have a chance to contest at the other ones because of how strong their early game is. But I think both sides benefit incredibly from trying to get to a later game with what they have gone for in these drafts. I think it's going to be incredibly close, but overall I'm going to slightly favor the side of TFF because I trust in their carries more.
Absolutely, definitely good notes. I think the team fight phase for TFF, that's what they're going to want to really, really lean into for a lot of different ways. Their comp is very, very solid for that for sure. But something I don't think we can count out here with Shinobi, is that they've got a decent amount of not only wave clear between Hui, between Yanara, between even Seraphine and Scion. So they've got a lot of this wave clear, but they can turn it into a bit of base pushing. They can turn it into a lot of macro, and macro is something that really will win a lot of games. And even if Shinobi is down, they can use that into, okay, we can't get that Drake, but what can we do? We can decide to get this tower instead. We can open up pressure. Okay, we can't get these void grubs after the Drake. What can we do? Let's go for another tower. Let's add more pressure, and then trying to slowly tip the scales for them to get more and more of those later objectives. But either way, it's going to take us about maybe 2 to 3 minutes, maybe a couple more, in order to get the players into the actual queue itself. We should be laying up in Spectolate here in a couple of minutes, but to give us a few, make sure to grab yourself some refreshments and some drinks. We're going to run the obligatory ad break, and we'll be right back.
Too
Alrighty, Chong, here it is. Finally, at last, game number 1 is kicking off between Shinobu and, of course, TFF. Shinobi, words are hard. I got used to saying the name in, some of my other drafts. But either way, game is kicking up. Only about a minute on the clock. We do have a Braum, so there is a chance that, minor chance that we're going to get an invade, but I wouldn't be too surprised. The invades really don't do a crazy amount, except for the ward that you're able to get down.
Yeah, and that's only if you're able to punish it, right? If you just get a ward down and you're not able to properly track after it expires, or be able to get a late invade and get a punish flash or something like that, and then be able to punish that further, it's not really worth it in this elo. You don't really see people really pushing an advantage like that. But looking bot lane specifically, both of these AD carries have taken that cleanse summoner because of the counterpart lane matchups that they're going against. A whole lot of CC on the side of TFF Lich Bane, so it makes sense that just the Dog's picking that up, and then just the CC that can come out of that very all-dangerous Seraphine ult is why Weird Stepper is going to be picking that one up for himself. Even the slow from Just a Dog when he is in that Enlightened form can be helpful, just be for kiting purposes, but overall, I think it is going to be a relatively slow early game, unless, Bring Up Bop. I don't know how to pronounce the jungler's name, and I can't read it. I'm too dyslexic for that. On the side of Shinobi, and getting a little bit of action in the bot lane.
Fight. Yeah. Loki Aurora in a little bit of trouble there in the bottom, which is kind of surprising. I would think with the poke potential between the bot lane on the end of Shinobi, that they would have quite the advantage, and I think we're seeing that right now. Braum's at a bit of a disadvantage. He does still have that Q, but he wants to play it into a lot of melee, so this should be a rough lane for the Ashe Braum, but they can turn it around rather quickly. Pretty decent Q by Loki Aurora, continuing to get on that advantage. However, they do have to worry about it. There's the passive, and the heal comes out as Loki Aurora does get the first blood, and now we're chasing down Ashe on the other end. Flash forward is good, but it's going to be responded by a flash on the other end. Loki did pick up a kill in the bot lane, and unfortunately, it looks like Step Bro, fantastic. Step Bro picked up the kill on the other end, so Ashe has got a first blood already going for them, but I believe the point went to the other side. Cyclone and Frost. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, I was waiting for them if they're going to go for any more action, but Just a Dog not picking up that
kick off.
Yeah, just a Dog not getting that kill down there in the bot lane does kind of feel bad for the side of Shinobi, but if Loki's able to, we see there on Boots not going for a much more aggressive first purchase after getting that first blood, but not going for something like that. But if Just a Dog got that, also had the chance to get the kill there onto Weird Step Bro, but flashed a little bit early, so Weird Stepper had much more time to be able to get the response flash out, but this Ashe getting an early kill can be very good, and alright, takes a turret shot but lives, but Ashe getting an early kill, I've seen Ashes get so far ahead in early games and just hard carry games, so if Weird Stepper is able to do that, it feels really good on the side of Lich Bane, but you can see it now, nothing really happening on the map right now, just everybody trying to get their resets, get HP for the first reset as
We're pulling Scion underneath the tower. There is the passive activate. I don't think he can chase down Mordekaiser. That is going to be quite the uphill battle. We've got a little bit of a gank set up as Braum goes over the wall, tries to get a Q on Loki Aurora, but unfortunately it is not going to be good. And I was going to say, talking about the bot lane here, it's not the worst thing that Loki Aurora was able to get that kill if they are able to leverage that into constant poke, into constant damage, into the bot lane to be prepared for when Yunara, be prepared when Just a Dog has the opportunity to go in. They should have the advantage for the bot lane just purely based off of poke, but it's going to depend on whether or not they don't take a whole bunch on their end. And so far, it looks like Loki is constantly taking Qs and arrows directly to the face, which is the worst thing if they're able to trade well into it.
Yeah, and we saw Icarus get that solo kill up there in the top lane with a nice pullback and then a flash auto attack. Look at, that is so important because look how much CS down he is in this matchup. Was able to pick up those boots, pick up an amplifying tone for himself as well, and is on parity with the side of Tastes. So feels really good there for Icarus to be able to get that kill. But like you said, in the bot lane, Loki got that first kill, but is just taking too much damage in return and not able to really dish out a whole lot of that poke and return damage to try to kind of push this advantage ahead for the side of Shinobi. because of that, we're just kind of seeing even states across all the lanes. All the CS advantages right now, by the way, are in favor of Shinobi. Just Dog, Frost, and Taste all have that advantage over their counterparts. Even Brip Brop, the jungler, instead of Drip Drop, it's Brip Brop. Very clever. Has a small CS lead for themselves as well in this one. So means gold just overall is in favor for the side of Shinobi because of that, even though the kills are favoring the side of Lich Bane.
Oh, we are looking for a gank as Briprop does come in on the other side. The shield gets activated, keeping Weird Step Bro alive, showing how powerful Braum is, really keeping Weird Step Bro in that fight, and most importantly, not dead, which is how you want your ADCs. We did get the rotation for Zen. It looks like he's a little bit faster than Sejuani. Nothing real surprising there. He should be able to get the Scuttle Crab here rather soon. I don't suspect we're going to get our hands on a Drake, and as soon as I think that, it looks like Britprop's going to try to prove me wrong, grabbing it early on about the 6 minutes mark or so.
Yeah, but now they're going to be spotted because of that hawk shot from Weird Step Bro. Bread is in the area, but kind of being zoned away by Frost right now as Loki Aurora and Just a Dog move up as well to help claim this first dragon for the side of TFF Lich Bane as Igris has popped the Death Realm up at the top side.
Ooh, Icarus taking down Tasty. Tasty has about 1 or 2 more shots left in them, activating his ultimate right as the Death Realm ends, barely escaping another death in the top lane, which would have made Mordekaiser very, very scary. But it's something I want to point out here is Frost getting a nice rotation off in order to help that Drake go to their side is going to be so helpful. And most importantly, it's going to be a Cloud Drake, which is going to be super helpful for Yanara and the rest of the team, really. Cyclone, gonna pick up an ult there by Frost. Frost trying to chase him down. 1 or 2 more shots is all he's gonna take. And there it is, getting the solo kill in mid lane. It looks like Braum was there, but just too little, too late in order to apply any pressure. We're gonna get Sejuani doing a bit of a rotate here. And we've got about 7 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock until our next Void Grubs are up and ready to go. And it looks like that's why Singular Bread is here. They need to hit 6 though. That's gonna be really important to getting those objectives.
Yeah, and I mean, a big thing we saw in the top lane by Taste is waited out that Death Realm for as long as possible before popping that ultimate. So as soon as the Death Realm hit, they were able to get up to that max, or sorry, the Death Realm ended, able to get up to that max speed once it did end, not crash into the wall inside of it, and be able to make that escape for yourself. And then Frost in the mid lane, just knowing their damage thresholds so well, hitting the Spiraling Despair into so much damage as a chance of Crystal Air bot lane.
There it is, Just a Dog trading into Yanara as it looks like Briprop looking for a gank here on Icarus to try to turn things around for his team. Icarus 1 or 2 shots away, trying to give it Tasty, but the Feats of Warfare ultimately get claimed by Zen, and now that should give some much needed pressure to get their hands on these Void Grubs, which will be really important. Scion with Grubs is fantastic. We're going to get Pink Penguin here looking for an angle on Frost, but he does give himself away with a Q. We can get Sejuani over the wall, but I'm not sure picking up a death will be worth it.
Oh, Frost gets, oh no.
Frost gets docked back directly into next week. Unfortunately, gonna get killed. A little bit of a 1v1. Sure, Braum was there, but it's not like Cyclone really needed that whatsoever. Void Grub's falling in the background to the other side. Cyclone pushing into the tower. Tying up our score now, 3-3, 13k to about 13k. So the gold's pretty similar, but the objectives are favoring blue side.
Yeah, and I mean, you say it was kind of a 2v1, didn't really need Pink Penguin, but Frost flashed into the Q of Braum that went to his bite, so the slow on it was enough to make sure Cyclone stayed in range of Frost. So Pink Penguin hitting that is actually massive, and that's why I exclaimed as I did, just because that was the reason Frost was not able to escape, not because he flashed late from Cyclone's ultimate, which he almost missed, barely tagged him on the edge of that one. It was because he flashed into the perfect diagonal that Pink Penguin was set up to be able to assist in that kill in the mid lane. But also a big thing in the bot lane is Weird Stepbro and Just a Dog were 1v1ing, and Weird Stepbro loses out in the summoner trade there. He's the one who ends up flashing in to try to get the kill on Just a Dog, who had too much space in between them. And Just a Dog only used Cleanse to cleanse away the stun from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, so trading up bot lane as well. Let's see if they are able to actually punish this flash that is missing on the side of the Ashe, but I really don't expect it. I don't really see flash timers being punished all that much at this point in the game. In this elo, it's much higher elos where you start to see that people just hope to blow a flash either before Dragon fight, so they don't have it for Dragon in the next 5 minutes, or if they flash in the dragon fight, you know they're going to have flash in the next dragon fight, and it doesn't really matter if they're flashless or not at this point in the early game.
Chase, despite having a CS lead, is struggling a bit into his lane opponents. Icarus is very, very happy to continue to duke it out and is winning most of those trades, trying to get something to happen, but that escape from Sion, that ultimate just sort of in his back pocket, is going to be very, very powerful. Looks like we're doing a little bit of board clearing now in the bot lane on the Tribus, maybe trying to set up a little bit of a gank, which would make a lot of sense because once Zen finishes his farm there, he should be in downtime and should be ready for the Drake. What's going to be most important is how much damage Just a Dog and Loki Aurora do take here before this objective, moves its way through. Grabbing that second Drake would be very, very powerful for their team, though.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I wanted to see the side of TFF try to stack these early dragons, but not even able to go 1-for-1 on the early objectives. Cyclone takes a lot of poking. See right there, he takes another QW, I believe it is, from Frost there. So Cyclone's gonna have to look it back soon.
Ooh. Might end up a little bit of trouble as we do get the engage, but it looks like there's not really going to be any follow-up. It looks like Cyclone does not want that, despite, essentially taking him down to about half HP. We do have the TP coming in, so maybe we're just prepping for that Drake, which has about 4 seconds on the clock. Everyone seems to be racing their way down there. Number advantage for the current moment is in TFFs, especially the positioning advantage. The Crystalline Arrow coming in, trying to lock down the support, followed into double ult. Not sure double ult on the support is the best call, but either way, they do go down. The Crescent Moon is pretty good, trying to buy their time. It looks like Rip Rock gonna push back into the team, but it's only gonna get him 1, but 2 kills. That's gonna be a double kill on the Zen. Frost here to pick up the rest of them. Cyclone might be in danger, could still go either way, but Cyclone does get it. That's gonna be a 3-for-3 trade, but Just a Dog wanting to tie things up and pick up their first kill for the match, moving our score 7-6 in the favor of Shinobi.
Absolute pandemonium breaks out there. I mean, they're able to get that first kill onto Loki Aurora, a nice Enchanted Crystal Arrow by Weird Step Bro, and then they go all in for the support. They burn the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. They burn the Braum ultimate. I'm pretty sure they burn the Glacial Prism as well, and it's just like, why are we doing all this for the support? They're barely able to kill Brip Brop. He did so much healing and damage in that fight when they tried to go back in onto him. And it was so good, even with Cyclone Ultimate. And then, out of nowhere, when Frost ends up going down to Cyclone after it looks like it's all said and done, Just a Dog pops Ultimate, flashes, and cleanses to be able to pick up the last kill of that fight and say, no, it's going to be in favor of us. I'm going to make sure we get this one. As they are able to pick up Dragon on the back end of this, but an absolute crazy fight breaking out around that second Dragon that went for way longer than I expected it to. I thought people were going to start dropping a whole lot sooner.
Absolutely. However, Tasty still really struggling into his lane opponent. However, it looks like he doesn't even need to do the tower dive as we're starting to fight over here in the bot. Just a Dog going in a little bit of trouble, but the Encore comes in just for the save as they pick up a kill on the Braum, trying to chase down Weird Step Bro, but it looks like Weird Step Bro felt a disturbance in the force and was barely able to get out of there in time, but it's still going to count as Frost is really hammering the mid lane, going for, I believe that's either his second or third plate. I can't see from here. The heads are too big.
Yeah, really hard to see. I think it's looking for a second plate there, but that bot lane play, Just a Dog and Loki Aurora actually played that extremely well, baiting Penguin and Stepbro all the way in before able to get that turnaround. As soon as the Braum shield drops, Loki was ready with that Seraphine ultimate, hitting both of them, forcing the cleanse at a Weird Stepbro. Then Brit Brop in the right place, right time, gets that gank in there. They get another kill onto the Yunara, like we said, who can absolutely take over games if she does have that advantage. Gonna go with this Kraken Slayer into the Hurricane, into, I like IE as the third item. I've seen different builds going different things before IE, but I think IE is definitely the best one. But I mean, well played by the side of Shinobi so far in this game. They're up about 2k at this point, have the Dragon stacked in their favor, got the first 3 kills, first 3 objectives, so they are the ones with the feats in this game. So we'll see when they do look to take these first turrets and start to break this game open for themselves, or if Lich Bane is going to be able to have a nice team fight, get it back in their way when this Rift Herald does spawn in 5 seconds.
Rift Herald is indeed up, and it looks like we're going for another neutral objective, and there's no reason for them not to. Shinobi has been in control of a lot of these fights, and it's really, really favored them for a lot of different ways. Both top laners are here, but most importantly, Sion does have a TP if this fight does kick off. Cyclone sort of just waiting in the bushes for something to happen, and look at there's the engaged singular bread going in, but looks like Britprop gonna bop them out just in time, able to buy plenty of time, and their health bars are absolutely melting. Braum pops his shield, but he's extremely low. Singular Bread's got to watch out for it. The smite comes down. Shinobi's able to grab it as more damage on the way out. At this point, they may sort of back up. It looks like they're going to go for the kills instead. Britprop going in and out, getting kill after kill. And this is exactly what I was talking about with the Hui. If you're grouped up, he's gonna love these team fights, as he's now 5-2, looking in great shape in game number 1, Chong.
Yeah, Frost is kind of a god, and Icarus might fall down. This might technically be a delayed ace if Taste is able to pick this one up. Gets it down onto Icarus, does not fall himself. Delayed ace as the side of Shinobi just show up. Frost in that team fight did absolute tremendous, even though the whole engage was burnt onto Britprop. Britprop lives for so long and takes up so much damage, and then even gets back in there late. And Loki Roar also got a huge ultimate when Cyclone went in for that multi-man shuffle, was immediately charmed up. He was the only one that got hit by it on TFF Lich Bane, but it's the reason that the team fight is able to go in Shinobi's flavors, because then that Azir doesn't get a free reposition and absolutely rain hell with those Sand Soldiers. So really well played by all of Shinobi, as Britprop is back in the bot lane.
Coming to the rescue for Singular Bread, as Singular Bread goes down to half HP. Sion able to tank it out, and now the one in danger is going to be Singular Bread, as this is going to be a 4-man gank, ganking the ganker. Absolutely hilarious, sitting at 14-7. TFF is in a little bit of trouble. The coordination for Shinobi is very, very strong in this first game.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing that could have made that kill on the Bread better. Oh, Enchanted Crystal Arrowhead on the Frost.
Coming down on top of the Hui. Frost is in danger as he gets pulled into the Frost Realm. Icarus able to pick up a kill, trying to find a little bit of life back into his team with the help of that utility of Weird Step Bro. And that's exactly what you need to do when you are behind. Get your gains where you can and when you can. And that's such a perfect example of it, Chong.
Yeah, huge Crystal Arrow lands there from Weird Step Bro. But I don't like Icarus with using that Death Realm. I think you would have the kill on the Frost regardless. I mean, the only reason you want to steal it is to get that more AP because of how fed the Hui actually is at this point. But I think it's a waste to go with both those ultimates. But regardless of that, they're able to kind of salvage the play of Bread going down there. Like I was going to say before, the only thing that would have made Bread dying there worse for the side of Lich Bane if it was at that 20-minute mark, because then Otacon would have been free for the taking for the side of Shinobi. But now they have Yunara onto items, and actually has gone for the Ghostblade second item instead of going for, sorry, not Ghostblade, Phantom Dancer, instead of going for the Ruinance Hurricane, which is so interesting to me. I think Ruinance is such a good item on the Yunara champion, but not going for it, as now Icarus flashes in front of it.
He does flash for it as the Encore comes in. It looks like it's going to be a miss there in the bot lane. Most importantly, Icarus has his hands on TP so he can rotate and they can get the number advantage and they can potentially stop this Drake, because at this point, Taste does have to back, which means the number advantage is squarely in the other side. So if you're going to delay it, now is your best opportunity. It looks like he doesn't even need it. He's got plenty of time to walk down. That Death Realm is already almost up at this point. Shinobi might as well back off unless they're going to go for a little bit of steal. This is going to be the number advantage, but it looks like we're going to go for it anyways. We do have the wallet diff, but will it be enough to take them down? A lot of damage back and forth. Britprop somehow able to survive, but the same cannot be said for Frost as he gets taken down where that fight even really kicks off. Taste did rotate over here. Cyclone does go in, but it looks like he's going to run directly into his own doom. We may have gotten the kill on the other side, but it looks like Just a Dog's able to pick up kill after kill. Pink Penguin in a little bit of trouble, as it looks like only the jungle is able to escape, picking up a triple kill for Yunara. Sure, you got the Drake, but now we have a fed Yunara.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you get Frost in that team fight and you get the dragon, but Just a Dog and Brit Brop are tearing through your teams. This Jin Zhao is only on Sundered Sky, and the amount of healing he's getting in these team fights is absolutely ridiculous, while Just a Dog is just free firing with Loki hitting such clutch ultimates, slows even the roots coming out from the E. But Just a Dog and Brit Brop are absolutely demolishing the side of TFF Lich Bane every time these team fights do break out. Yuri Yunara is 6-0-6 now. Can just kill your front line. Your front line is basically non-existent. Ping Penguin even going with the redemption. While I do love this item, it is not going to help you in these team fights because they are just being bursted down way too quickly by the side of Shinobi.
Well, and something to note here, and I think it adds to why Just a Dog is doing so well on Yunara, is Yunara is in a similar boat as Xayah, where Xayah sort of wants the team to come into her so she can do a bit of damage, so she can pop her ultimate, so she can get her feathers off, and just absolutely wreck the competition. And it's a lot of the same way with the AoE that Yunara can do. That AoE is significantly easier to hit if a team is walking into you, if a team is moving forward you. And I think that was a good example. It helped that Cyclone sort of put himself in a unfortunate position before that fight really kicked off, but most of that was just, you know, the team walking to Yunara absolutely chunking them, and by the time they were there, she just already had the range, and her team bought time with roots and slows, just absolutely locking them down as Scion and Icarus, Taste, and Mordekaiser are just continuing to duke it out over here. Mordekaiser finally has a bit of damage. Death Realm did get activated. It looks like Taste going to go down about half HP, a little bit of back and forth, but there's really just no damage on Icarus. This should be a free kill with the plants up immediately. That's got to be frustrating to deal with. However, it looks like Pink Penguin is maybe coming for a bit of a gank. At the very least, Ashes. We should be able to slow him down as Britprop does find a target trying to lock down Singular Bread, as Singular Bread has to get out of there, and somehow Scion is able to escape. Autocon has been started, but it's not up just quite yet, and it looks like we do have a TP on Scion, so we can't have the number advantage, but if they're going to get Britprop, it's got to be right now. Britprop in a little bit of trouble, able to take out some of the damage as Mordekaiser comes around the other side, but now he's going to do a little bit of 1v3, and he does not have the Death Realm just quite yet in order to deal, as the Encore comes in, hits absolutely no one, unfortunately for him. Just a Dog taking down the raid boss that is Mordekaiser as Loki falls to pieces. Singular Bread left here holding the bag. Cyclone looking pretty healthy, but how long will that last with Frost and Just a Dog here going down extremely quickly? Just a Dog picking up an 8th kill as Scion tries to lock down the jungler. Frost going for Pink Penguin. TFF is absolutely falling to pieces as we're shaping up to an ace.
Oh my god, what started off as Taste running for his life, barely escaping, and then Britprop seeming like he was caught out when he got caught on that hawk shot out of weird step bro. But instead of it being a loss for the side of Shinobi, they turn that into their engage. Yes, Britprop falls almost immediately, but it let the rest of his team run backwards and link up with your support. Yes, she got hit by the Ash Arrow on the Seraphine, but it didn't matter because the Mordekaiser was not able to follow up on that play whatsoever. He was zoned away by the slows coming out from Just a Dog, the fear coming out from Frost as well, and they're just able to molecularly, I can't even say that one. I'm gonna give up on that one. I'm gonna give up on that one. They're able to just dissect them and take them apart in that team fight, and it just ended up being exactly what the side of Shinobi wanted, exactly how they wanted to play out these team fights. Now you have Just a Dog on another item, getting that full Infinity Edge, I believe. Otacon put in their back pockets as well, and this is just looking like a really solid performance game plan and steamroll coming out of Shinobi in this first game.
Well, and just like I was talking about in draft, you know, TFF very much wants to do a bit of grouping with their own team. They want to do a little bit of clumping because they want to stack all of those passives, especially if they can play into Cyclone, sort of pulling somebody out of position. But, you know, we've got Frost, we've got Just a Dog, we've got Loki Aurora, we've got a lot of people who are happy if you clump up for a million different reasons and are happy if you walk into them. Because even though Yunara is sort of been one of the star players of this one, Frost is doing an insane amount of damage. He does pick up a Death Realm, as we do get a flash here for some reason for Icarus. You are in the Death Realm. I don't think we're going to escape, but that is going to be a kill right before the Drake is up and going. It looks like we're going to go for an Ocean Soul, and Britprop is already here and ready. Once again, going back to TFF's strategy, if you cannot contest these objectives, you may as well get kills just like that. And getting them on Mordekaiser is going to be so helpful because it diversifies where your damage is, where your gold is. Cyclone has 6 kills, and now Mordekaiser has 4, and getting his hands on a turret. And that's really what you want in order to turn this this around. In my opinion, Ashe doesn't do an insane amount with gold. That's just my personal opinion. So putting on the other sides is going to be really, really important. And it looks like we're doing a little bit of clearing of the jungle of blue side, but still not too much on the table other than maybe Baron. Yeah, Baron 6 seconds.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Taste hasn't gone for that Canic Rucker yet, because you're going against double AP solo laners on the side of TFF Lich Bane. That item is so good into them, they kind of just will end up doing no damage to you in the long run, but still, he puts out a lot of damage. Going for that Titanic second item after picking up that Hallowed Radiance can do a lot of damage in these team fights. Brit Brop on 2 items now. Frost, who you mentioned, has been putting out a lot of damage in these team fights. Is on the double burn, doesn't even have like that full magic pen yet, just on that Blading Jewel, I believe. Going for just regular old Void Staff, not going for that Crypt Bloom, but double burn Hui typically doesn't do a lot of damage up front, but is getting so much done as ult is popped by Taste, able to get away from that one, but Frost also TPing up to the top lane now.
TP coming in. Frost is ready for it. We can take Baron, but you got to keep in mind, Baron is the original autocon, so TFF does have an angle to try to turn this around, but they need to have the positioning. They need to have the grouping. We are getting the grouping of Azir as he goes down to the top lane, but we're still not in too much shape, as it looks like Taste is trying to buy time for his team to maybe get their hands on Baron. Baron's already about half HP, but we're going to start the fight as Icarus has already gone directly into Yunara, taking down the Yara. What a great target for him to grab. Icarus going to pick up a redemption, absolutely turning into this raid boss. The Scion going to fall to pieces. Baron might just be doing it again as Frost is now in danger. TFF looking to turn this one around, looking to get their hands on the objective as Dead Scion dies again. Loki in trouble, running to Icarus. Icarus picking up kill after kill, and the objective is going to fall to TFF. You cannot forget about the Baron turns.
Yeah, and what was absolutely massive in that play is just a dog walking up just far enough for Icarus to get that ultimate on them. It doesn't matter how fed this Yunara is, will almost never win that one. It was 2 to 3 items in favor of Yunara and not even still able to get that 1v1 against the Mordekaisers. So the big carry for the side of Shinobi immediately taken out of that fight is so huge for the side of TFF Lich Bane, and then they're able to chase everybody else down, able to pick up the Hui very effectively. Then that Brit Brop can't really do much by himself. Taste is just a tank sponge at that point, just getting absolutely shredded by Cyclone and Icarus, but a massive comeback there for the side of TFF. Like you said, you got to be careful on this Baron. It is the original Otacon for a reason, and people still can throw games at that objective, and it might have just happened for Shinobi.
Absolutely. Sitting about 27 minutes, almost 28 minutes now on the clock. 23 to 16, 50K to 49K. Most of the objectives have fallen to Shinobi, but we can see where the team fight potential is really powerful for TFF. That fight was such a good example of it, but the important thing is, can they get more? Because it's going to take more than one team fight to take down the lead that Shinobi has been able to get their hands on.
Yeah, and Baron to be able to get back the lead that is in favor of Shinobi. I think they're going to have to try to get another Baron team fight around a dragon, and then be able to slowly start to remount this gold lead, because there is good wave clear on the side of Shinobi between Scion. The Sion's pretty decent at it. Obviously, Hui is very good and Yunara is really good, so it can be hard to effectively use a Baron buff without getting a team fight, as now Weird Step Bro could be in trouble, but is going to be able to get away from that one. And the Winter's Bite not hitting onto Loki.
Ooh. Crystalline Arrow able to pick up just a dog. Singular Bread trying to lock in, but unfortunately not going to have it. Brit Brop activating their ultimate, able to do a good chunk as the Encore comes in. That's going to be a 3-man Encore. Seraphine able to do a good chunk of damage. A lot of back and forth. Brit Brop is in danger. One is died on each side, but Icarus, the raid boss, is here. Can he turn this fight around? Just a dog in trouble, picking up passive after passive, just cannot get away as Ashe is able to get a shutdown. Icarus looking for another kill, trying to lock down Frost. Frost could fall to pieces just like Shinobi's team comp. Unfortunately for them, Ping Penguin taking a lot of damage, but Plain Braum allows you to get off of it as Taste thought he was out, but they brought him back in. This should be a kill, and most importantly, the Drake should fall to the other side.
And icing on top of the cake, even able to pick up the kill on to the Seraphine. Like I said, one play can absolutely turn a game, and they tried to get the kill on the weird step bro, but then he outplays it just with the one volley. The rest of his team is able to follow up, hits a huge ultimate onto Justin Dog, who doesn't have cleanse, and then the fight just ensues. And it is played so well by the side of TFF Lich Bane. Yes, Cyclone falls down early because Frost is able to hit that ultimate and get a massive amount of burst damage, but they were able to get Brit up so early. Loki had to use the ultimate extremely early in that fight too, and that was absolutely massive for the side of TFF Lich Bane because Singular Bread uses his later. So does Cyclone. Icarus shows up late in that fight and is able to find Frost, get the 1v1, and the whole time Weird Step Row is pumping out as much DPS as it can with the support from the Sejuani and from the Brahmin. It works out absolutely miraculously. We can see now TFF has taken the gold lead for themselves. Like I said, they needed a spot to fight, and they found it exactly with one ultimate from Weird Step Row. Now they have the gold lead, are going to look to set up for the next Baron, which is in 2 minutes, and they are the ones that are going to be in the driver's seat for the rest of this game.
2 back-to-back fights with TFS have capitalized on getting their hands on a couple more of these objectives, tying things up, and most importantly, going from a deficit to a lead, doing much better now in the gold department than they were previously. There's still opportunities for Shinobi to turn around, but I think at this point, the lead is on the other side. Pink Penguin take a little bit of damage there for Britprop, but it's pretty much just a small little hello. I don't think you're going to be able to take down Braum solo, even on Zen, unless you have a good chunk of time. It looks like indeed we did make it out, and now we're entering sort of the awkward stage, about 1 minute and 30 seconds until the next Baron is up and going. So both teams are going to kind of flounder, trying to figure out exactly what they're doing unless they find a great pick opportunity. The vision's going to be very, very important, so we're going to try to lock that down. It looks like our opportunity, the Encore coming in, and Psycho locking him down. That's not what you need right before the Baron, but this is what Shinobi needs as Cyclone gets taken down, the redemption coming down, but it is going to be wasted now. 50 seconds on the clock till he comes back up, which means if he does respond to this objective, it might be too little too late.
Yeah, I don't like Cyclone using the arm guard there because we can see on the minimap his team was so far away from him. Even if he does survive, it feels so bad because they're probably going to have to invest everything. You're going to have to flash an ultimate as well. And before this Baron, it just feels bad. Like I was going to say before they were able to get the pick on the Cyclone, I'm wondering if TFF is going to realize that they actually have a gold lead because sometimes it is kind of hard to track the gold swing mechanics of League when you are in these games, in these high pressure situations. So I was curious if they're going to play like they had a gold lead, and it looked like they weren't on the map. They were much more defensive because they were behind for so long. They had to get these waves into good states, and Cyclone, just with no vision, just pushed up a little bit too far. Feels like an 80 carry life when everybody shows up and they're just able to CC you down and they're able to take you down. Now the side of GCC is still playing like they have the gold advantage, even though they are technically slightly.
Cyclone is here as Baron makes its way back onto the map. Vision so far in the side of Shinobi doing quite well. It looks like Mordekaiser finally doing a little bit of proxy into his lane opponent. Bit of a change up there in the bot lane. We do have 2 TPs on Taste and of course on Icarus, so they can respond to this sooner rather than later. So the longer they keep the other occupied, the better it will be for their team. But it looks like we're not going to take the Baron. It looks like we're not going to take the objective as Taste gets chased down underneath his own tower. This Mordekaiser is absolutely frightening, having quite the sliver of HP. Icarus really can just shake it. It looks like the ultimate coming in along with the shield. That tower still does a lot of work. Icarus in a bit of trouble. The redemption coming down, picking up the kill on the other end, but most importantly, keeping Icarus alive. And now the number advantage has switched in TFF's favor. This objective could fall the other side as Britprop has to dodge an arrow, taking a good chunk of damage, having to activate his ultimate as he flashes over the wall. Sure, he's out, but this objective should fall to the other end.
You were so close to outplaying it. You didn't hold your Q for long enough to get the knockup onto Icarus, and then he fell for the oldest play in the rulebook, falling for which redemption is which. Your team doesn't even have one. And now, because Britprop also gets caught out before the Baron respawns and has to burn Flash, burn Crescent Guard, means the second Baron going to be picked up here by the side of TFF Lich Bane, and they are starting to swing the pendulum back in their favor. I said they were going to feel like they have the momentum for the rest of this game, and that is sticking true so far.
And we do have to keep in mind, even though it says 62 to 64, Autocon, of course, is worth a little bit more. Just a dog picking up a little bit of a slow from Ash, getting really close to picking up a kill. That would have been very, very devastating. It looks like Burprop was not in danger. But the score is a little bit more tied up gold-wise than you might think because of that Autocon. I think Captain Flowers is the one that likes to say 8 million times. That it's worth about 2k gold, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, as the next Drake does spawn, which is going to be so important to each side. The positioning will determine this fight, and most importantly, the execution. Whoever wins this may just end up winning the entire game.
Yeah, and I mean, also, ECA not going to connect there out of weird step bro, but also upgraded boots are in favor of the side of Shinobi, so they do have about a 4,000 gold lead.
Going in, and we're going to follow up with an encore. There's the first kill. The number advantage is on the other end as Icarus has taken so much damage. So is Singular Bread, just barely able to escape, but Icarus able to dish out the damage. Going to get taken down for it, but Frost cannot keep up with it. He does not have mana as Taste goes for Cyclone, trying to lock down Weird Step Bro, but it's good. Ash takes them out, and this third Drake is going to fall squarely in the hands of TFF as Weird Step Bro looking for a little bit of tower pushing.
The two DPSs are left hitting for the side of TFF Lich Bane, and that is all they needed. Cyclone and Weird Step Bro able to just free fire that entire fight. These double auto attack champions just absolutely shred through Taste. Cyclone does. Weird Step Bro able to get the outplay onto Frost, and then most importantly, yes, Pink Penguin and Bread went down extremely quickly, but Icarus lived just long enough to take down Just a Dog in that 1v1 at this point in the game, and that was kind of what was the most important thing in that team fight, because Just a Dog comes out of that depth realm and is like, even at half HP, the team fight is just won by Shinobi. So really, really close there for the side of TFF Lich Bane. Now they have triple Ocean Dragon. If they are able to get a quad Ocean Dragon Soul, the amount of healing they'll get in team fights is going to be utterly ridiculous that I don't know if Shinobi will have enough to shred through that.
Well, and something I think that's important to note is this is the power of Sejuani. Not that Icarus didn't do a lot, or Mordekaiser and Ash and Weird Step Bro didn't do a lot too, but so many people seem to be afraid to play Sejuani, and she's sort of really good for these first games, for sort of like these tempo checks, these range finders, when it comes to, you know, just trying to feel out your other side. And she continues to get tankier and tankier and tankier, and while she did almost get taken down, I don't believe she died in that fight. I don't remember exactly. But you know, even if they had taken Sejuani out, it took so many resources, and most importantly, one of those being time, in order to take down all of those health bars, and it just bought time for Icarus to turn things around. And now Icarus getting his hands on this third Drake, this third Ocean, is really, really going to be devastating. Mordekaiser was already very difficult to kill, and that's only compounding with each Drake.
Yeah, Icarus also upgrades to the Magi's there at 12 pages in that book. Definitely a little greedy. I think Zonia's would have been a little bit better here, or maybe even that Hex Plate that has been popping up for Mordekaiser builds. But now that bot lane inner turret going to fall in favor of the side of TFF Lich Bane. And like you said, I don't remember if Sejuani lived or not in that team fight. I thought she fell down, but regardless of that, Bread is going to be extremely tanky in these team fights, like you said, which is very helpful since Icarus has gone for the full AP build. Can't really tank up too much damage without being worried, especially without Zonia's, because you can get popped before you pop that W and get that big shield into a big HP reset. But I mean, if you are able to, and we get a pause, of course, at kind of a critical moment. It kind of felt like the game was coming to what could have been an end team fight here when we do get the pause. Hopefully, though, we are able to get back into that game shortly and able to see how this one finishes out. But I think TFF Lich Bane definitely have the momentum, even if gold is closer than it shows on the screen.
Absolutely. And I think the longer the game goes, the better their team fight capabilities are going to be. And it really boils down to, you know, these best of threes, best of fives, just overall, especially being fearless, boils down to who is the most consistent. And that seems to be the case for TFF. Even though TFF struggled in the lane phase in a couple of spots, they really began to turn it around the further and further the game goes down. We're already almost getting close to about 40 minutes. So quite the long game. And I think it favors TFF TFF, although at some points we could get a little bit of advantage because we do have Feats of Warfare on the end of Shinobi, which is an additional scaling on all 5 members, which can tip the scales in a little bit. But the biggest thing they need to work on is the coordination. The coordination has been much stronger on TFF's end.
Yeah, and I kind of wish.
Speaking of it, Cyclone having to pop Zonia's, but it looks like he's going to be able to separate the entire team as Azir falls to pieces. The root is good, trying to lock down Pink Penguin. Lots of damage back and forward, trying to lock down Singular Bread, but you need to kill that Ashe. You need to take down the damage. Another dramatic pause in an unfortunate spot right in the middle of the fight and right in the middle of my cast. That's really frustrating. It does pick up, it does continue, as now we're getting to pick up pieces. Sion able to grab a kill. Pink Penguin in danger, but most importantly, the cavalry is here. Icarus is here in the background, but can he turn the tide in his favor? It looks like Pink Penguin thinks so, because he's trying to go back in. Weird Stepper looking for the angle as Briprop tries to close distance, taking them down, having to flash out Icarus, duking it out with Sion. Ashe does finally go down, but can you kill a raid boss? Icarus needs to go down for their favor, but look at all of that HP. Icarus happy to do the 1v2, but it looks like Shinobi knows better to walk into that Mordekaiser.
Yeah, and I mean, Just a Dog, once again, almost comes out of that team fight as the victor, but just gets caught by Icarus, able to get that, not be able to win that 1v1. Briprop did really well in that team fight, lived for a long time. Frost was kind of caught out early, but it was a nice initial pick there onto Cyclone, but he does spend enough time to get that Zonies off, get everybody in. His turret even goes up. He does get that big Emperor's Divide onto 4 people, and that's why they're able to trade 1-for-1 at the end. Frost went down immediately after him, and then I think there were moments in that team fight where Weird Step Bro should have been auto-attacking. He was running way too far back and not really putting out a whole lot of damage, which I think would have been massive if he actually was DPSing correctly. But regardless of that, they're able to barely come out in that team fight. Yes, it ends 2-1, but you get your idea what you needed. You get a lot of gold onto important people, and then you have the waves already pushed in, which is also very important at that point of the game. So we'll have to see how this third Baron of the game actually ends up being played out with how extremely close these two teams are at this point of the game. I would say because of the Otacon, because of the feats, gold is basically even at this point in the game. It's about 4K hidden there on the side of Shinobi.
Absolutely. So far, though, it looks like the Vision War is squarely in the favor of TFF. TFF's got to be happy with this. We've got to find some sort of angle for them to go on. It looks like we're starting the fight as Icarus goes in, tries to lock down Just a Dog, but Just a Dog's finally able to get a kill on Icarus, taking him down as Singular Bread taking a whole bunch of damage. Briprop having a lot of HP ready to go as Cyclone goes in, able to get a decent ultimate off, but Sion is on the hunt. Briprop is on the hunt, and it looks like finally Shinobi has some sort of life breathed back into them. Ashe is the only one to survive that encounter, but most importantly, the Baron should fall to Shinobi, and in the background, about 10 seconds on the clock for the next up-and-coming Drake. This could be 2 objectives back in Blue Side's favor.
Well, Korak, we figured the answer. How many items does it take for Yunara to finally 1v1 the Mordekaiser? The answer is 5 with upgraded boots. Not if you had regular boots, you're not winning that, Just a Dog. You need the upgraded Beats boots to be able to win that 1v1. And now, can be even harder. Icarus did sell that Magi's when he did fall down and picked up the Randuin's Omen. That passive is secretly one of the most important ones. 20% damage reduction on critical strikes. But in the meantime, because longer depth timers were on the side of TFF Lich Bane, the dragon, the 7th dragon of the game, the soul, is picked up by Shinobi, who are barely winning these team fights by the skin of their teeth. But I think this soul is going to help them so much in these team fights to be able to stay upright and be able to win this game because of it.
Absolutely, but they still need to be careful despite that victory, despite the lead that they currently have, and they do have quite the nice one, but just one small little mistake will cost them, even if it's just one person stepping a toe out of line. We're about 42 minutes into the game, Chong, and that gray screen is only going to continue to scale, something really to watch out for, but hopefully we get some usage, get some mileage out of that Baron, because we need to start pushing some of this macro. The macro is really, really powerful on Shinobi's end, but they haven't been able to do it for what feels like almost the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, credit Pink Penguin. He built the right item. He built that support item where you can carry 3 control wards with you at once, and then if you upgrade it, you can place 2, so you can still have control wards at this point in the game, and to also be able to effectively spend that money. Nice ult block there by Penguin stopping that massive Loki Seraphine ult from coming through the team, but Pink Penguin intelligently purchased the support item, which still allows you to have control wards instead of what Loki did and not have any control wards and is going for another damage item. Vision control at this point in the game can absolutely win you a game, and also the stats on that support item that carries the control wards are actually
going in, locking down Weird Step Bro, activating his Crescent Guard. Pink Penguin having to pick up the pieces. The Redemption coming in clutch. Braum able to ultimate right at the end, but it doesn't matter as it looks like Sichuan, going to fall down, but Taste is still occupying Icarus. This might be a good opportunity to just end the game. There's only 2 here on the defense as Sion buys more and more time for his team. Mordekaiser able to pick up the kill. The Fountain Turrets are in danger. Mordekaiser is freed up to respond. He does have TP, but these Fountain Turrets are absolutely melting. 1 down, 2 down. And now they're going for Cyclone. Cyclone in a little bit of trouble as Britprop goes in, activating the Zonias, but it doesn't matter because the Nexus is down and game number 1 falls to blue side, falls to Shinobi.
I mean, Just a Dog played absolutely insane in this game, played extremely well on this Inara. Frost and Britprop both played well respectively, even if they were not the hard carries for their teams, but that game was extremely entertaining. Cyclone had some real pop-off moments on that Azir in some of those team fights. Icarus had clutch plays for a lot of that game to kind of keep TFF in it and kind of draw them back from the brink of death in that game. And also Weird Step Bro putting out a lot of damage on this Ashe. I kind of don't like how he ended out the build with the Terminus. I kind of don't think that item does a lot, or even the Infinity Edge, because Ashe can't crit. I think you could have gone some other stuff, maybe a Bork to actually get some damage on the Sion. But overall, I think both sides played extremely well. I thought the series was going to be close coming into this. I did not expect it to be this close.
Absolutely. Both teams were one pendulum away from just losing the game in its entirety. Ultimately, the consistency for game number 1 did fall to blue side, did fall to Shinobi, so that's going to be their first points of this best of 3, but don't count TFF out because we've got 2 more potential games to go, but it is going to be uphill for sure. Either way, give us a few minutes. We're going to run into a little bit of a break as we heard the players back into game number 2, but make sure to stay tuned. Alrighty, here we're going. Moving into draft number 2. No side changes. Quick item of housekeeping. And keep in mind, this is going to be Fearless. The Fearless bands should be to the side of each bands on each team. So once again, Shinobi in the blue side, TFF taking red side. First couple of bands already out. Looks like we're going to keep banning that Lux, keep banning the Wukong, and Mel and MF are going to be the band's response on the other side.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Lich Bane ended up winning game 1. So Shinobi has side selection. I almost forgot who won game 1, even though it just happened because of how close that game actually felt. But yeah, TFF gets the game win, so Shinobi goes with side selection, elect for themselves to stay on the blue side. Bands being changed up just a little bit. I don't remember the Caitlyn Misfortune being banned for the side of Shinobi from game 1, but that feels like, oh wait, actually I can check. It wasn't. The Mel was the only consistent ban, but
we are getting our last couple of bands. It looks like it's
oh
going to
my
be Jinx and Caitlyn. Chong losing his stuff in the background, talking to Prod as Jarvan gets locked in for the first pick. Not real surprised. It's no longer banned, so we're going to pick it up for it for sure.
Yeah, no, like I said, I literally forgot who won last game because it was Shinobi who ended up winning. Like I said, that game felt very close that I literally forgot who ended up winning, and it was Shinobi. So TFF is electing to stay on the red side this time instead of what I said before. But regardless, 2 junglers who weren't banned last game in the Jarvan and Pantheon are going to be respectfully the B1, R1 for each team, as Shinobi's going to go with the J4, Pantheon going to go with, TFF going to go with the Pantheon. And I'm pretty sure J4 is one of the only junglers that's in like the top 10 of pick and ban percentage in BOL Platinum so far.
And there's a lot of reason for that. He's not a particularly difficult one to play, but when you get a little bit of mastery on it, he can really make a big difference. That flag and drag is such a powerful tool. Pantheon, a little bit harder to execute correctly. Sure, anybody can get the first kill on it, but Pantheon plays similar to Viego when it comes to what Viego wants to do. He wants to get that kill. He wants to get the reset, but Pantheon in this case just wants to get kill after kill after kill and sort of turn it into these large chain effects. Pantheon is also sort of the tool that is this Surgeon's scalpel, where it's like we want this thing dead, and Pantheon's like, I'm on it. Responses are going to be Ziggs, so a little bit of flex pick, can go mid, can go bot, so nice to grab that. And the response to that is going to be Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa pairs really well with Jarvan for a million different reasons, and now we're looking for the third pick, Chong.
Yeah, and like we said, Jarvan this season has been picked 13 times here with a 63% win rate. Korak, I'm curious if you know, off the top of your head, what the most banned champion in Platinum is.
I'm gonna go with a Mumu.
I was gonna say, do you want a hint? I can give you a hint.
No, it's better if I look really dumb. So just tell me.
Mumu is number 6 in most bans.
Okay.
The hint was gonna be they're banned in this game because it's actually Mel, who's been banned 30 times, which is 71% of games so far in Platinum.
So I could see that. Mel has a very powerful kit, for a lot of different reasons. Their E can really turn fights around. People are like, oh, she has a great execute. Oh, she does this, that, and the other. But in my opinion, it is indeed her, it's called solar something. I don't remember exactly what it is. But, the stun, the root that they have is so powerful for turning a lot of fights around. And a lot of teams don't know how to do that. So that doesn't surprise me too much. I would have thought it was a Mumu, but that is interesting to know. Our last pick is going to be a Akali as we move into the next set of bands, starting with Gwen.
Yeah, Akali is a good answer into Orianna. We saw it all the time at Worlds. There's a reason why Akali is considered to have the better lane. Not necessarily the better lane, it's the better late lane against the Orianna. When you're able to get that level 6, you do have the kill threat, but early lane is a favor of Orianna because of how strong that clockwork windup actually is. But that means Ziggs is going to be going to the bot lane here for the side of TFF Lich Bane. Weird step, bro. I will not call his name right because he hasn't cared until this point. I'm going to be on that Ziggs. But Ziggs is another one of these interesting champions where you kind of need to get ahead to be effective. It kind of feels the same way as Sejuani, as Akali, because if you're like even and you're not landing this poke as Ziggs, you really do like absolutely no damage. You need that poke to hit and stick and land, and two, you need to kind of have an advantage to have these luxury AP items, which can sometimes be cheaper than AD items. It can give you that bigger power spike, earlier power spike, but if you're not landing the poke, it doesn't matter. As Galio's just going to be the blind pickup here for top lane, unless this Akali's being flex top and like this is Galio support and like yeah, exactly, or like Galio mid with the Akali top. I think Galio's an interesting blind top here potentially as Leona gets locked in and Aatrox. So very, very simple draft here for Shinobi.
At least my headcanon, what I want here is I would like to see Ziggs in the bot lane, Galio in the mid lane, and Akali in the top side. But, you know, it's hard to tell. I don't do an insane amount of cast about this elo, so I don't know if people are comfortable playing Akali in the top lane, despite the advantages that they have. And honestly, if I'm Akali, I'm going to be looking to play into that Aatrox. I mentioned before how Akali does quite well into Aatrox, but it looks like that's not going to be the case because that's going to be an Mbessa, I believe, for the top lane. Akali probably mid, and Galio support bottom. I feel like we've gone back in time. I'm a really big fan of Galio, but he's in a weird spot if this is a support.
There is a scenario where this is Galio top. It could be Galio mid, Akali top with Mbessa jungle and Pantheon support. I'm just saying. We're not guaranteed Galio support. We're not guaranteed. I'm cooking. It's not good. I'm burning the recipe, but there is a chance that this Galio is not locked support. Like you said, Galio support is in a very weird state right now. I think it is so hyper specific in what matchups you're going to pick it in, just because if you don't land that Justice Punch, or you don't land that Shields of Durand and you kind of get CC'd out of it, you really effectively do nothing as a support, and you're kind of just sitting there hoping to get a good ult, and also being landlocked to the bot lane, and being, one, delayed on your level 6, 2, not having a big intercold of income, and 3, never hitting level 16, barely level 11 sometimes. Those ranks of ultimates are so impactful in this game, and being landlocked bot lane means you can't even impact the top side unless you're perma-setting mid, but then you're also taking away money from your Akali in the early game if you're doing that as well once you hit level 6. So it doesn't really feel good as Galio support if you're not getting a huge lead, and because you picked the Ziggs, it kind of feels like you're not going to be doing that either. I'm really liking just the straightforwardness of the Shinobi draft. You have Jarvan going with the Orianna ball, followed up with the Leona ult. Kai'Sa dives in, Aatrox gets big sweet spot knockups, huge damage as well. It feels so traditional. While TFF Lich Bane have to play this comp a super hyper specific way, otherwise it kind of does nothing in this game.
Absolutely, but we can speculate till we are blue in the face. We won't know until game number 2 kicks off, which means in the background we should have spectator delay already started, and we're going to go into our second, third break. I don't know, but we're going to go into the next break for a little bit. So pay attention to the timer if we have one, if our prod remembers, but we'll be right back. And once again, where the rubber meets the road is going to be game number 2, which is potential match point for blue side for Shinobi. We have to get a full sweep to stay in this one, Chong, if TFF has what it takes.
Team, do you know what team would have done what I talked about with it being Pantheon support and, you know, the Embessa jungle? Conduit Reapers would have done it. They're a team that would play composition that way and absolutely somehow manage to make it work. But regardless, we're getting the much more traditional expected lane assignments for the side of TFF Lich Bane. Like you said, I was wrong earlier. Loki believed me, but TFF Lich Bane ended up losing game number 1 and went over to the side of Shinobi. So like Korak said, have to get the full 2-0 now to be able to come home with a victory in the series tonight, but can at least push us to a game 3 with a game win here. Compositionally, I think it's going to be a little bit rough for the side of TFF, just because if this Akali and Ziggs get behind, they really have no siege and like no teamfight presence. Like, because Akali won't be able to throw in the back line, you're kind of already playing it 4v5, and then if the Ziggs doesn't get ahead, you really don't have that strong of a siege, and then once again, you're playing team fights like 3v5 because he's either not landing poke or he's landing it and it's not doing a whole lot of damage. Well, the side of Shinobi just went for a straight-up standard front-to-back team fight. It's very simple. You got Leona and Jarvan go in, Orianna ball on top of them, Orianna follows it up, then either the Leona or Jarvan, whoever didn't engage already, follows it up, and then you have Kai'Sa dive over with Aatrox flanking on the backside and doing a whole lot of damage as well. So very, very simple for the side of Shinobi, while TFF has the harder to execute draft.
And top lane, I've got to imagine, with watching the previous game, should be pretty volatile. A lot of back and forth as it looks like Loki goes in, trying to lock down the Ziggs. The Ignite going to pick up just a dog, taking a whole bunch of damage as the exhaust comes in, but so does the flash, just a dog, barely able to get out of it. Ziggs does a deceptive amount of damage, and looks like Shinobi is experienced that the knockup is good. Fortunately, we do have a taunt up, but it may not matter because we just need one more AA. First blood comes in, and I think that was a kill with the taunt.
Yeah, it was a thing that a lot of people don't expect, and why Galio's support can actually be very strong is Galio's base damages are actually insane. Like, even without having that Doran's Ring, it's just the base damages that make Galio so strong in the lane. Your E and even your W at early levels actually do so much burst damage. We saw the taunt, like you said, Korak, was what actually picked up that first kill onto Loki around, but also that fight was played really well by the side of TFF Lich Bane, because when Loki Aurora goes in onto the backside onto Weird Step Bro, there's not a lot of threat because Pink Penguin immediately re-engages onto Just a Dog, does a huge amount of burst damage there. Even Exhaust is used on the Kai'Sa to make sure that much damage is being done in return, while Ignite was used and so was the Exhaust at a Kai'Sa, but it was used onto the Galio, so Ziggs got to just do all this free damages. Low health bars all across the map right now, but Pink Penguin, the one who had his damage reduced and everything, didn't matter because the poke was coming out from Ziggs, and then in the end, they're able to get that first blood for themselves. Ideally, would have wanted on the Ziggs, but won't complain to get your Galio a little bit tankier, but like we said, health bars being low, they're looking in the top lane on the taste.
Absolutely, and we do have the execute on Singular Bread going from a tank to a bit more of Assassiny on that end. Icarus looking in top form, trading quite well into Aatrox. Not really too surprised at that. Embessa should have a tiny bit of an advantage into Aatrox. I think she's a bit stronger on that end. And there's plenty of angles for Pink Penguin on this Galio to make team fights go on the other side. I think the thing that makes Galio sort of an off-meta pick when it comes to the support role is just it's not as consistent as some of the other picks, but it can work, and it can work in unique situations, and this might just be one of them. Into Leona, that's not the worst pick for sure, and he could buy plenty of time for his team to get damage, especially because Galio does one thing really, really well, which is buys time, which is what TFF needs in order to start getting these kills, start getting these picks, because Icarus, because Singular Bread, and Cyclone are going to want to get their hands on small kill after small kill, and Galio will definitely facilitate that.
Yeah, like you said, I think there are like certain supports that work like hyper specific into certain matchups. Like I think this is one of Galio's better ones into the Leona. I also think like a champion like Swain would actually do really good in this situation into the Leona and into the dive comp that Shinobi has. but we'll see how Galio does. Galio works really well in the dive
Icarus
as
looking for a dive, picking up a second kill now, but this time for top lane and Bessa starting off strong. We saw this last time though, but we no longer have a Scion on the end of Taste. He's gone Aatrox instead, who needs a bit more of a gold, who needs a bit more of an advantage. Granted, once he gets a couple of items, he can turn those fights around, but he can't get crushed like he did in the previous game.
Yeah, and I mean, Icarus played that really well. He got the flash early at a Taste, and then even not needing the public execution, did that at a level 5. He was able to get the solo kill on the Taste using a flash of their own. And like you said, Taste doesn't have the Scion to fall back on, who does have that infinite scaling, like that super durability front side for them. You kind of need to be even or ahead on this Aatrox to have a real threat on this game. I've seen Aatrox absolutely take over games when they do get that far ahead, and I've seen Imbesses do the same thing, and Icarus is off to another early start for themselves, as similar as they were to game number 2, but TFF Lich Bane having a better early game here in this game than they did in the game number 1. As the first dragon, Shinobi is going to pick that up as well. They went 3 straight uncontested dragons before TFF went 4 for 0 and stacked that soul up for themselves. So Shinobi kind of similar to where they left off in the neutral objective state for the early game, but TFF already just playing better in these first couple of minutes in comparison to game 1.
And a little bit of a mix-up now when it comes to looking at the teams and sort of their capability. Shinobi very much so had a lot of, macro, a lot of lane pushing, and now it looks like we've capitalized that on weird step bro. It looks like we're looking for a gank as Brit Brop trying to go in. The flag is down, the drag is good, but it looks like the Ziggs is too far away. Satchel Charge does a lot for them. This artillery mage has got to be happy with this one, as Loki has already taken quite the large amount of damage after just returning to lane, already at half HP. Gank unsuccessful for them, but they do still have that Drake that you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Loki's already at half HP and already drank a health potion at the same time, or consumed the biscuit, but also, big thing to remember is patch came out a little bit while ago. Biscuits did get very much nerfed on that patch, so it feels pretty impactful, especially if you do go that into this matchup of the poke from the Ziggs. Not feel as good when you do get poked out as soon as you come back from lane, but Singular Bread's up here, but so is Brit Brop and the rest of the team.
Double gank, Frost coming in, the shockwave is good as we're looking to pick up 2 kills on Shinobi's end. Singular Bread trying to get out, but it's not going to be good enough as Aatrox and Jarvan are able to pick up 2 kills, tying up the score.
Yeah, 3 for 2 is the advantage there for the side of Shinobi numbers-wise. They get the ball onto Brit Brop. Brit Brop just walks in. The engage is done onto him by Icarus and Singular Bread, and then immediately Frost pops the ultimate. Taste pops one of their own, gets that, I'm pretty sure it still does damage on cast. The big burst of magic damage into just huge damage that comes out when you are in that ultimate form. Taste able to follow over the wall after Bread flashes, hits him with that Inferial Chains, and is able to pick up that second kill for the team on that play. First kill for themselves. Gonna be enjoying that one, but the side of Shinobi just playing that top side play better, kind of having an idea of where the side of TFF Lich Bane could be, and we're able to just counteract it immediately, but the bot lane is still what is suffering here for the side of Shinobi.
Fight for the Void Grubs has started. A Cyclone goes in, giving a couple little love taps, letting them know that they are there. It looks like we only have 1 Void Grub on the end of Shinobi, so we're very much happy to try to get these grubbies in the hands of Ziggs. Ziggs going to be able to do so much work if he's able to close the distance and start taking out these towers, because of course Ziggs has an execute on the towers, which is absolutely hilarious, I still think. But, we've still got a lot of back and forward. Void Grubs aren't the end-all, be-all that a lot of people think they are. Granted, they are very, very powerful, and they're deceptively powerful, but it doesn't really matter if you can keep them off of the towers, but it does seem like bot lane is struggling to do that, as already 2 plates have gone to Ziggs. Maybe 3.
Yeah, I was watching a TikTok the other day about, what neutral objectives or, what this certain thing in the game does for your win percentage wide, and I think Void Grubs was, 32% or something absolutely ridiculous like that, and junglers being this is why I don't play for it, because it doesn't matter if you get them or not to win the game. Like you said, Korak, they are not the end all be all. They do assist Ziggs a whole lot, but not necessary, even without having the Ziggs in the game to get those void
Starting to
grips.
fight. Icarus activating ult, but Aatrox is going to be a tough nut to crack as two ults do get popped. Icarus diving back and forth, really trying to start this fight as Pantheon comes in, but the feats of warfare still get claimed by Aatrox. He's going to die, but that is a happy trade. Score ties up 3-3. Just a dog in a little bit of danger. We do have the flash, but it looks like that's going to be good. Barely able to get out, throwing out the emote right there at the end, but still, I would have puckered up after that gank for sure.
Yeah, feels bad. Just a dog is able to escape though, has to use the flash, but really well played by Stepbro and Pink Penguin. First, a nice use of that explosive satchel or satchel charge just to get that big knockup, which is it was also a good angle on it because it was a slower animation when you get knocked up. If your landing spot is closer, and that's exactly what happened. And then Pink Penguin with a nice timing on that Justice Punch gets to a good spot where a taunt would be imminent if Just a Dog did not flash, so has to burn that summoner spell, which will feel bad, but you will still have that ultimate to reposition yourself when a team fight does break out, as Dragon spawn in 5 seconds, and you can see both supports and junglers linking up with each other to get the advantage around this neutral.
Galio going in, able to grab a double taunt as Ziggs is able to do a good chunk of damage to Britbrop. Just a Dog coming in, Cataclysm going to get activated, a lot of back and forth. Heroic entrance able to knock up at least the Leona, but most of them are going to run away. Pink Penguin back in on the Galio, trying to lock down this Leona. Leona so close to going down. Cyclone able to pick up the kill, and there is the number advantage TFF needs in order to get their hands on this Drake, but you can't forget the Jarvan. Jarvan is so great at stealing these objectives. Let's see if he's brave enough to go for it. Looks like it's not. No.
Loki Aurora had the Orianna ball on her and was in the middle of 3 people and flashes away when Frost uses the command shockwave, so it absolutely hits nobody. They are lucky to be alive after that play, because if that shockwave hits, it could have been so massive for the side of Shinobi. But with it missing, they're the ones who are lucky to barely be alive in that team fight, as Cyclone still had the flash, had the perfect execution available to him as well, but just doesn't go for that play. Decides to go for the early dragon to start stacking these dragons earlier than they had in the last game. But both sides played that fight extremely well. It was very close at this point in the game to which one was going to win that. But now you have Just a Dog on their first item. It looks like Frost is going to go for this more tankier build on the Orianna if he decides to go Roa. But I don't think he will, because normally I see Roa first, as Tate's going to pop the ultimate in the top lane.
Britbrop looking for an angle. Flag and drag, unfortunately, is not going to be good, but Jarvan is still here for the damage. It looks like Britbrop is going to pick up a kill, diversifying their gold. 2 on the Aatrox, 2 on the Jarvan. Not a bad choice one way or another, especially considering the other team has 1 kill on the Galio, which isn't the worst, but obviously getting it on the Ziggs would be super, super nice. And doubling back to what you were talking about on Frost, specifically Orianna, this is why Orianna is so powerful in the meta and is so consistently picked. And it's not just the ball delivery system, which of course is really, really great, and when you want to try to capitalize on it, for sure it's one of the better combos just sort of amongst team synergy wise. But Orianna does a lot of consistent damage. She's an extremely consistent mid laner in a million different ways, to where she may not be the flashiest. Cyclone may be in a little bit of trouble. Now, should be able to get out of this. We do have the ultimate by Loki Arroyo, but I think trying to follow it up on Orianna will be difficult. But going back to the Orianna very, very consistent in a lot of different ways. And as you were mentioning, that shockwave is something they need to constantly watch out for, because it is very team fight warping.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the kill being on Galio, you know, obviously it doesn't feel great at the side of TFF, like, because you would want it somewhere else, but it's kill regardless, so you're happy about it. But Shinobi's happy with where it is, because the Ziggs is only on 1 item right now. Also, Cyclone is at 1 item on that Storm Surger. I haven't seen Akali in quite some time, so I'm not exactly sure what her build path is, but regardless, has that first item, can be a huge impact in these team fights with how much burst damage you can do. Both junglers now on that Sundered Sky. You basically see no change in the junglers' builds just because of how consistently you get gold in the game. It makes a whole lot of sense to just go for the same 4 items every time, because you already know how much gold you're going to have regardless of how many kills or assists you pick up. But now you have Spear on Taste on the top side. interesting first choice for me. I think I still prefer the Sundered first item on Aatrox to have that big burst damage, but Spear can help with like a burst in a different way where two ultimates pop down.
Shockwave is down, but unfortunately it's not going to be good. The heroic entrance, however, is good directly into a Cataclysm, but now it looks like Jarvan is locked completely down as we get a Kaisa coming in. Unfortunately not grabbing the kill, but another one has gone to Aatrox. Taste very much so is turning into a raid boss as Shelly spawns in the background.
Yeah, and that was just a good pick there by the side of Shinobi, very easily able to get on Pink Penguin, who used that ultimate to show up, and then gets the knockup onto Britbrock, but it really doesn't do any damage because this is support Galio. This is in mid lane AP tank Galio, where you're going to actually have a bit of burst damage when you use that ultimate. So they're able to just turn it down onto Pink Penguin, who goes down relatively quickly on a support budget on this Galio. It's supposed to be super tanky, but supports don't get a lot of gold, so you're going to be like quote-unquote tanky for the most part, but it's kind of just having a big HP pool. But regardless, the kill goes over. Now Rift Herald is the focus. Bread looking to steal it, but just not going to be able to. Does not land that Comet Spear, as that is the second objective picked up at the side of Shinobi. So 2 for 2 on the feet of Monster Slaying with that one. Third Dragon is going to be the focus, and that spawns in 50 seconds. So we'll see how these teams play to be able to pick that first fully completed feat of Monster Slaying for themselves.
Weird Step Bro doing a bit of a rotation here in the mid lane. Not really too surprised because once again Ziggs is a bit of a flex pick, and even though this is the ADC or APC in this case, he can play just as well into just about everyone. He hasn't been able to get any towers down, which has been a bit unfortunate for them. Going back to those Void Grubs are great, but only if you're able to make it to the tower, which Ziggs very much so has been struggling to get. As you mentioned, 20 seconds on the clock for the upcoming Drake, which is going to be important to either side. And, you know, a little bit of a paradigm shift that I wanted to point out. What's nice to see that Taste is able to do and able to play is not only can he play sort of these defensive champions, you know, your not Gallios, your Scions, your Orns, you know, we're very, very comfortable on Aatrox, who is, you know, quite the opposite. Very, very aggressive. Sure, they are tanky, but really want to move forward. And Icarus is really struggling into this change in top lane.
Yeah, and that can spill an advantage for the side of Shinobi because Icarus won't have as much of an impact in the team fights as they did last time, because they won't have such a huge lead from kind of just beating up on Taste on the side the whole time. But now Dragon number 3 does spawn, will be that feats of Monster Slaying for whichever side does pick it up. You can see the side of Shinobi playing for bot lane as Stepbro going to flash away from that Zenith Blade. Vision and priority is going to be the focus. I'll hold my thought.
Flag and Drag is good, locking down Singular Bread, but he blocks most of the damage as Leona goes back in. Double Cataclysm locking them down as it looks like Scion's going to fall, or sorry, Pantheon's going to fall to pieces. We do have Cyclone over here in the background, able to pick up at least one kill. Heroic Centers, but only able to grab the support. Flag and Drag once again. Just a Dog picking up a kill, and now Weird Step Bro left here holding the bag is going to fall to pieces, and so will this Drake.
Yeah, and that's just the engage you expect out of the side of Shinobi. Flag and Drag into Cataclysm. Leona hit the E, so buffers through. Then Orion ult over top. Then you have the ult coming out from Loki Aurora on the Leona. Just a Dog flies over top all of it. Cataclysm doesn't even need to come down, like pull the walls back down, because on the other side is Just a Dog raining Hellfire. As now speaking of the devil, you're gonna just get caught out here.
Going in, looking for an angle on Just a Dog, but Just a Dog should be able to get out of Kaisa. It's hard to go for. It looks like as we get the TP in, Oriana trying to go for the save, but is only going to deliver herself to the wallet of Pantheon.
Yeah, I mean, feels bad for Frost trying to save Just a Dog, who managed to escape, and you can't cancel TP like you used to, so...
the taunt is good. The shutdown comes in, but unfortunately Galio picks it up. I don't really blame you for securing it, but Cyclone really wanted to get their hands on that, unfortunately, for their end. It looks like we're going to do a little bit of reverse gank on this tower as Icarus starts a fight there with Taste. Pantheon goes over the wall, but can he get in range? There's going to be ult from Mbessa trying to lock him down. Aatrox at about half HP. His ultimate is not up right now as another little bit of stun comes in. Taste is in trouble and is going to fall to pieces as Pantheon picks up his third kill.
Yeah, so that started as Just a Dog getting caught out.
Frost tries to go in and saves him, dies. Just a Dog still dies, and then out of nowhere, Taste also dies in top lane. So what was Shinobi starting to build a lead for themselves immediately falls flat on its face. Now Otacon is going to be started up. And once again, we are in a game that is extremely close between these two teams. Like, it feels like the late game of last game is already carried over here into 20 minutes into this one, where you can't tell who's going to win at this point in the game just because of how both sides it's been swinging back and forth. As Otacon
Solar
fall
is
down.
good. Britprop taking a bit of damage. There is still an opportunity for them to steal this objective, but it looks like we focus down the jungler, taking him out as Loki tries to keep the other side out and going back in for a second time. But unfortunately, there's not going to be a lot of follow-up as Otacon gets smited and taken down along with Loki. Penguin going in, looking for an angle. Just a Dog just able to find it out. Taste is actually able to do a good chunk of damage, but it looks like this Kaisa might get taken out. No, just barely survives, picking up a kill. Aatrox is still very scary, but the Otacon ultimately falls to TFF.
Yeah, it only falls to TFF because Smite is there for Singular Bread. That got extremely close there. And then the side of TFF almost just get fully aced. Just a Dog is able to live with the help of Taste and Frost coming over to help them. But if Weird Step Bro doesn't hit that satchel, the side of Orianna, Aatrox just gets to chase you down. Aatrox can get in the middle of all three of you. Orianna still had ult at that point as well, so could have just absolutely destroyed you after that team fight. They are lucky to be able to get the Otacon and only lose 2 on the backside of it, because Shinobi was poised to do even more damage there after that team fight, as now you can see 2 items picked up here by Britprop. You have that Black Cleaver, you have the Sundered Sky as well, as Singular Bread is still on their way to that Cleaver. 2 items here on Taste on this Aatrox as well. You finally got your second end for Just a Dog. The side of Shinobi is still extremely strong, even though they did just lose that Otacon and Otacon team fight. So do not be surprised if they choose to fight this dragon and look like they are the team with the lead right now, even though it is considered to be slightly in favor TFF-wise because of the Otacon.
And something I thought was really, really scary was the fact that they allowed Britprop to make their way over to Otacon, sort of starting that fight. I feel like one of the small mistakes they could have done is the name of the game for Pink Penguin is delay, right? You want to delay team fights, you want to buy time, you want to isolate. Ooh, Pantheon going in, looking for an angle. He's going to pick up a stun on Britprop, but it's not going to be enough. There's not going to be enough follow-up there on that end. But Galio really wants to buy time, delay time, which would have been really, really good into that Otacon. They did ultimately get it, but I feel like Pink Penguin could have played that a little bit better as Icarus and Taste continue to duke it out, but unfortunately, the winner is going to be Aatrox. Aatrox sitting at 6-3. Quite the difference from game number 1. Icarus really, really struggling still into this Aatrox as the tower falls down, and now we're pressuring a T2 in top lane.
Yeah, Taste is just playing really good so far in this game. So really like to see that turnaround compared to game number 1, as like I said, like this draft on the side of Shinobi is just very straightforward. It's very easy to execute on it in every single team fight. You know exactly what you guys want to be doing every team fight. You know, just play around these ulti cooldowns and it should be one fight. While, like I said, TFF Lich Bane have to kind of play this weird, like, get ahead style and like weird poke, dip and dive out of these team fights and not really go for a full commit, slowly whittle them down with your poke, with your like Akali diving in and Bessa diving in and kind of like dashing in and out of the fight. But because they're not doing it, because they're getting caught beforehand, because they're just trying to take straight up 5v5s, it is starting to fall away from the side of Lich Bane here. But it isn't to discredit the way that Shinobi has been playing. I just think there have been moments where Lich Bane isn't fully executing on the composition they drafted, and you can see that in this elo when you draft a hard to execute team fight composition.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why meta is so important, because of the consistency. Even though you can win fights with some of these weird stuff, the thing is once you make a weird team comp, you need to, just like you were saying, continue to follow up on that weird and continue to play around that weird, which, you know, we've got 2 of them. We've got Akali and we've got the Galio. Ooh, looking for the Solar. Unfortunately, it's not able to get on as Britprop takes a bit of damage. Heroic Interest is going to come out and is able to hit 2, no 3 as the Cataclysm on the other end. TFF is falling to pieces. Cyclone able to grab a kill, but will it be enough as they go down about half HP? Orianna are able to return a bit of damage as Loki is able to finish it off with a nice and clean Q. That's going to be a 1 for 2 in the favor of Shinobi.
Yeah, I mean, Just a Dog did get burst down, but it didn't matter because Icarus was immediately answered on the back line when he does dive in. The Galio ult was used for, I believe it was for the engage that happened onto Cyclone and Singular Bread instead of onto Icarus, who dove onto the back line. So just the layering of the circles mattered just ever so slightly in that team fight. Cyclone does manage to find Just Dog in the backside and actually almost gets the kill onto Frost as well, which could have been massive, but Icarus was still big in that team fight. Frost was getting so much healing and shielding. And then Briprop just lived for so long, actually did a pretty decent amount of damage as well, so it ended up feeling really good for the side of Shinobi. And they do pick up the dragon. Weird Step Bro should probably just fall down here now that Just a Dog is showing up.
He has taken a bit of damage, but this should be all but a kill. Just a Dog able to get it, and that's not a bad choice to give it to Kai'Sa. We've already seen what Just a Dog can do when they have some gold, and I think that really fits the play style of Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa very much so likes to snowball once they get the gold, and not quite a hyper carry like she used to be, but still does a lot of work, especially with the lead. So continue, that would be nice. As the Nasher picks up Just a Dog, or sorry, Weird Step Bro gonna fall down in the background. Nice, easy, clean objective on top of their 3 Drakes.
Yeah, and I mean, feels really good here for Shinobi. Just able to easily pick up the Baron. No real contest coming out from the side of TFF Lich Bane after they do get the pick off onto the enemy Ziggs in the top side of the map. Was overextended. Tried to play it out the best he could, but just not able to get away from that one. So Baron immediately picked up by Shinobi. Now the question is, how much can they actually get off this Baron? They already have a nice gold lead for themselves, but what more can they get on the map? They're kind of delayed on these recalls as everybody else is already recalled, and now your Jarvan is finally taking his first one, so it's going to take a little bit longer to actually push up these waves and effectively get them to crash all at the same time to try to pick up some of this much-needed standing gold with those 3 inner turrets left. As you can see, the top and bot lane one are kind of in sync right now, but Cyclone going to catch the bot one. Top one going to be answered soon by Icarus, so they're going to just have to play on the mid wave, and because it's desynced from top and bot, feels very awkward to try to play around it right now.
Moving up to the 27-minute mark on the clock, 48k to 42k in the favor of Shinobi, 14 to 11, exact same as that before. We do have Baron, so now we've got some solid sieging potential with these towers and sort of everything else. Hopefully they're able to get some more of these to add more and more objectives and continue to keep up their lead, but it can still be very, very dangerous for them to start some of these fights underneath the towers, because even at this point, even with all this gold, towers still hurt, and they can turn fights around given the right opportunity.
And you can see Taste is still winning that 1v1 against Cyclone, even in the side lane, taking a turret shot for himself. Baron helping a little bit with that, but the red buff also doing so much healing back. And you have Sunder, Sky, and Shojin. That one auto attack from Aatrox can probably heal you back up to like half HP, even if not full. And you can see there, almost gets the kill with that auto attack onto Cyclone there. Cyclone now going to have to recall. Oh, Taste getting insulted.
Bessa in. Taste is down to about half HP. That's very deceptive, though, on an Aatrox, especially a fed one, as the health regen is so good. The damage from Ziggs does come in, but unfortunately it does not hit his target, as Aatrox does a little bit of a 1v2, first taking on Cyclone, then taking down Icarus. Icarus sitting at 1 in 6, definitely struggling in game number 2, which means his team doesn't have the same amount of oomph. Mord was such a key player in the last game, so to no longer have that, TFF is really suffering from it.
Yeah, and now is like Pink Penguin's engages are so obvious at this point in the game, unless Cyclone gets into the back line, which he really hasn't been doing so far this game. You know Galio's going to look for that flash taunt. He's going to look for that E-taunt, so you know exactly how TFF Lich Bane wants to play. Now you can just like deny that as the side of Shinobi, especially when Icarus does come back up. We won't have that ultimate, so you know exactly what TFF is looking for. If you just never get to give it to them or give them that opportunity, you just get the easy win, even though Baron has fallen off here, which means they probably won't be able to break fully into the base. Shinobi has the lead and is playing extremely well so far in this game. It's going to be pretty hard for TFF to come back in this one.
Absolutely. 2 T2s down, 1 in mid lane, 1 in bot lane is going to add a lot of much needed pressure to increase their advantage even further to grab this Drake. This Drake is going to be so important, so it puts TFF in quite the awkward position because they need to contest it, but they also don't. There's the flash, and the Cataclysm is instant, locking in the Pantheon. The ultimates come in left and right, but it looks like everybody's falling apart. Aegis doing a good chunk of damage. Aatrox going in as the exhaust comes down. TP for Cyclone comes in, but it's too little, too late, as it looks like the top lane and the jungle are going to get taken down. TFF, indeed, we're in an awkward spot, just like Cyclone is right here, and this objective should fall the other end. We're trying to get the execute on the other end, but it looks like the Zonia is going to get popped, but just a dog manages to barely get out of that as the soul should fall to the side of Shinobi.
Yeah, just a dog able to live there with the use of their ultimate when Cyclone did try to get that assassination, but Britprop funding another great engage, easily followed up there on the side of Shinobi, able to pick off Bread and Icarus, then Cyclone on the backside, finally going to break open the space, even with Stepbro having some decent wave clear on the Ziggs, they're just not able to do enough at this point, and Shinobi, like I said in the draft, I already said in this game, I'm going to say it again, went for the more standard draft, and it's just easier to execute, and they're doing it every single time in this fight. Even though your Orianna has no kills, she's got 13 assists. She's been so involved in this game as Britprop even gets away, buffers the flag and drag through that shield vault from Singular Bread after the crash down, trying to steal away that last Infernal Dragon to not give over the soul, but not able to do so.
And it seems like, once again, TFF isn't playing super crazily into their advantages. Cyclone's been able to have a consistent amount of damage and look for those kills, look for those executes when and where they're able to get their hands on them. Hasn't been as crazy, as effective as maybe that you want. But one of the biggest things I want to point out here, and it's not necessarily to bash on the player, but if you're going to play Galio, if you're going to be Pink Penguin here, you've got to leverage the fact that you are a tank support. You are sort of the pawn in chess, to where you're both valuable and tradable at the exact same time. And there's been plenty of times where I feel like they just needed to be there to buffer for their team to stop some of these fights or to stop some of their carries from getting taken out. Granted, it's easier said than done, and that's not the case with every single little bitty engagement, but I do think that's something that's sort of biting them in the butt, because Galio needs to delay in order to justify that pick. Galio needs to get in there, needs to do these fights in order to justify that pick, especially with Icarus struggling on the Mbessa.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing you can leverage as Pink Penguin is you actually have so much AP damage they do as Galio. You could go in with a sort of Nico build in this game. You could have gone Proto Belt into, like, Shirelia's to actually have more engage angles and options, as Britprop is looking for another one on the top lane. But, like you said, it kind of feels like all of TFF Lich Bane, I would say, except for Cyclone, feels like they just haven't been doing the best they can on these champions that they picked from themselves. It feels like Cyclone's really the only one who's been having, like, a really good game despite his scoreline. He's, like, oh, even in CS, he's 4-4-2. He might be, like, losing the KP department, but, like, I feel like Cyclone has kind of been the reason why TFF feels close in a lot of these team fights.
Singular Bread looking for the steal, but it looks like we're going to stop on Baron instantly. Nice control by Shinobi as the Ignite does come down. Sorry, the Smite does come down, picking up the objective. Now Pink Penguin in a little bit of danger as we're going to activate a couple of ults to take them down. Galio down, Pantheon down. Cyclone doing, I think, what they should. I'm not sure you were able to contest that, trying to get some sort of pressure for their in. But if they're not careful, this could be a game over. This is only 3 on the defense against such a heavily fed team. About 11k difference in the favor of Shinobi, plus all of the objectives, having soul and everything. Cyclone able to do decent damage here into Aatrox. This is a good matchup if they're able to continue, but that's a lot of gold on the Aatrox. Cyclone absolutely taking a pounding, gonna get taken down as Aatrox picks another kill, leaving only 2 on the defense, but about 8 seconds on the clock for 2 more reinforcements to come on the way.
Yeah, and I don't think it's enough. I think Shinobi is going to have it here. We'll see if Bread looks for the engage with Pink Penguin. They're still staying in the base here for the side of Shinobi. The poke is starting to land for Weird Stepbro, but Just a Dog does a lot back themselves. We'll see if they're able to get the end here or if the defense is going to be there for the side of TFF Lich Bane.
30 seconds on the clock. Pink Penguin trying to make some sort of plays that would have been a good taunt if they were able to grab him underneath tower. And it looks like that is going to be enough for Shinobi to back off. I feel like they had a little more time to siege, but I guess they ran out of towers. Maybe if they had gone for bot lane instead, they could have just tanked that on their way out. But either way, very solid performance for them. This game does go further and further on, which means TFF has more opportunities to turn this around. That gray screen is getting scarier and scarier, and TFF definitely has the team to sort of just mash all the GI Joes together, press all the buttons, and kill someone if someone on Shinobi's side gets caught and turns it around. And these games and these teams have been very, very close throughout all of them. This one has been a bit more in the favor of Shinobi, but TFF still has what it takes to turn it around. They just need the proper and the better opportunities.
Yeah, I didn't like how Shinobi tried to play that end game. I think they could have actually ended there, but they just didn't do a good job at like actually threatening the Ziggs or really hitting the turrets at all. Another thing I want to shout out Shinobi for is their support Loki Aurora. She actually went for that support item where you can hold more control wards, and if you upgrade it once you hit like level 14, which she is, you can upgrade the item again, which lets you place 2 control wards instead of just 1 at a time. I like purchasing the item sometimes even before 3rd, just because it gives you the stats of 3rd item. Never mind, just dogs caught.
Looking for an angle to try to take down just a dog, but the exhaust came in right there at the time. Heroic entrance is good, but not good enough to pick up the other end. Loki Aurora in a little bit of trouble, but they are the tank. They need to absorb as much damage as they possibly can as 1 goes down, 2 goes down, looking for the 3rd. Cyclone in a little bit of danger as they fall to pieces. 4th one, 5th one, and that's going to be a full team wipe. What a fight and what an end to game number 2 and this series falling to Shinobi.
You know, I was the only one on the Auto Talk desk today that thought TFF Lich Bane was going to win this series, but apparently I don't know BOL. It is Shinobi that is able to pick up the 2-0 win. I thought this was at least going to be 3 games regardless if it was the TFF win or the Shinobi win, but Shinobi just came out as a different team, a different dog, you could say, and just kind of manhandled TFF Lich Bane for the most part, even though game 1 it felt like it could have gone either way until Shinobi slammed the door on him. But game 2 felt much more one-sided for the entirety of the game.
And what another point on sort of the docket to show the power of consistency and show why these off-meta picks are a little bit sketchy to play with. They definitely can work, especially if you're very comfortable with it, but you have to play into it the entire game. And the sole moment you stop doing that, you start to fall apart, which TFF definitely did. Either way, that is going to be our score, 2-0 Chong with Shinobi on blue side taking the lead and the entire series. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I have been your host for the evening, Korak. We've had Chong on the color commentary and, of course, Loki on the production. But most importantly, this has been Blue Water Esports.
fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, oh, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we